To Drew, motherfuckers, it's Fate Steel Taylor, brought to you by High Dive and Sentai Filmworks. I'm here to give you guys the rundown on what we're doing for these next 2 episodes. So, essentially, we wanted to create a big recommendation list in which everyone in the Podfather crew could contribute shows that they wanted to talk about, including shows that they felt were must-watch classics, hidden gem series or movies that they felt deserved more recognition or views in general, and then some personal favorite shows that we just wanted everyone to watch and enjoy just as much as we do. So we came up with a big list. Each Podfather person has 5 shows they picked, 1 must-watch classic, 2 hidden gem series or movies, and then 2 personal favorites. We put that all together, and that was originally 40 shows that we had, but we wanted to do more, so then the entire crew came together and we agreed upon 5 more shows to add to the list. And then we pulled our viewers and asked you guys, what shows do you find to be must-watch classics, hidden gems, your personal favorites, and we compiled those answers based on which ones received the most submissions, and we got 50 shows brought together by the individual Podfather crew, the entire Tokyo Podfathers, and our Tokyo Podfather family, including you guys. So thank you so much for helping to make this episode happen. I hope you guys like the shows we picked. If not, please let us know in the comments. And I want to give a thanks to Panic for editing this and bringing it out of production hell due to my procrastination. You guys are all great, and I hope you guys enjoy part 1 of this featuring Bex's boys. Thank you, and have a good one.
What's good, fam? It's the Recommendations Pod with the Bex Boys. You could say the boys are back in town. We've got Mozilla Fennekin.
I don't have a witty thing to say because I'm busy playing out of the park baseball.
You gonna hit it out of the park, buddy?
No, because I'm the general manager.
Oh, well. You can hit it out of the park in whatever.
I'll hit you out of the park.
He does no work. Always wishing he were a player on his team. Never. But having decided since childhood leg injury that he would settle with being close to baseball.
I'm telling you, if the coach would have put me in, we would have won.
Finger on the pulse.
We would have won state, no doubt in my mind.
All right, we've also got a ton of bacon. What's up, dude?
Hey, I'm here shopping for a new camera.
Wait,
Is that
online,
right?
Yeah, online.
Okay, I was like, are you at the store?
No.
No, Bacon's on site.
Bacon's Twitch streaming like IRL. Right?
I'm streaming
Recording live from the Apple Store.
Recording live from Best Buy, dude.
I can't find any good deals. Damn it. I'm
Can ask
really
the Best
upset.
Buy patrons on their opinions on the shows we bring up.
Oh,
Just,
dude.
just randomly, like, excuse me, sir. What do you think
Yeah,
of
we
this
need
show?
you on the streets,
What
Bacon.
do you think of Paranoia, Agent?
Like, what? Excuse me?
Wait, what? What do you mean? What? Oh, never mind, dude. It's okay. You're just...
Have you heard the holy word of goop? What are you talking about?
When you sell it like goop, it sounds disgusting.
Shut up.
And we've got 17 writers. It's been a minute.
Hey, man. Yeah, it has been a minute. What's up with you?
I'm just working on the... I've been working on the hentai episode. This is going to come out after Hentai 3 comes out, so,
Nice.
mostly been doing that.
Gotcha. That's
Proud of you.
Thanks, dude. I worked really hard on it.
Damn right.
All right, so we're going to talk about, like, a shit ton of shows, I guess. We're going to go... There's going to be timestamps, obviously. I'm not going to list every show. But we're going to take about 5 minutes for each show that we want to talk about.
Shows will probably be, like, in the description, too, with, like, the timestamps for... Yeah, anyway.
We'll do our best.
We'll gone-body the fuck out of this.
Yeah. Must-watch
we might as well
classics.
start with, like, start with the best shit, or at least the consensus best shit, which is the much-watch classics. I can't pronounce shit today. The much-watch classics.
Much watch.
I mean, you want to watch it very
Munchlax
much, right?
classic.
very much
Seashells.
watch. Yes.
Seashells by the seashore.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with Code Geass.
So this is
So-
your recommendation.
Yeah, this is my recommendation.
Okay.
So, how do I recommend Code Geass? Because there's a lot of ways to approach this, right? It's one, a mecha show. Two, it's about like, global politics and stuff. Three, it's also a high school anime that occasionally makes pizza. It's like a mix of a lot of different things, and depending on who you ask, some people like other things more than others. So I'm gonna just like market it as like an opera or a stage play, because I feel like this show screams, over the top stage play in everything that it does. The main character, Lelouch, is like super eccentric and has a lot of daddy issues and wants revenge, and like that's great. The show does like a great job of like setting up like its goals pretty early on. It's pretty cool. Basically, this guy gets powers to like mind control people, but he can only do it once. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but like that's one of the rules.
That's not too bad, yeah.
Yeah, and he was given these powers by a beautiful big bootied witch. I almost said bitch, but my waifu is no bitch.
Does she wear a witch hat?
No, unfortunately, she
Fuck!
She lives like a witch. I mean, come on. She's... Oh, that's a spoiler. Never mind.
But like the show is basically about him kind of taking over Japan as a masquerade hero named Zero, and it's like kind of fun. And he also has to be in high school while this happens. It's very interesting that he has to do both. He lives a double life.
There's no way a high schooler has this much intelligence. Then again, Death Note exists. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying my best not to spoil the show, but like it's filled with robots because it's a Sunrise show and it has to sell robots.
So tell us about
so
the
one thing
opening.
Oh, the opening is really funny. It's my favorite opening in general.
Yeah, that's all I need to know.
I just really like the horns, like the shitty horns in the. Yeah. If anyone wants to jump in and talk about Code Geass, I mean.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring something up quickly since Bacon brought up the Death Note comparison. I kind of think
it's basically like a lot. It kind of feels like Death Note. Actually, it aired in the same season as Death Note. Funnily enough.
and there's a lot that's really similar between the two shows. I guess I just kind of wanted to bring up that to me, one of the major differences or things that sets them apart is that Code Geass takes itself less seriously, which to me works a lot better. But
yeah, imagine if like Code Geass
there
was
are
directed
differing
by
opinions
Tetsuo
on that, to
Araki.
say the least.
Yeah, no, there's characters with like varying ideals, or rather, in Code Geass, there's two main characters that both want to achieve similar things, but they go about it in very different ways, and it's kind of interesting to watch them like grow and change throughout the show.
Yeah,
because
and with
of
that
their
operatic
ideals.
style, it kind of gets away with having their ideals and their opinions and kind of their actions even be way over the top. And
Like
while
sometimes
some people,
it'll feel like their monologue,
Yeah.
they're having the same monologue, like it'll just transition from like two people talking at the same time kind of thing. It's actually like very interesting. That like kind of felt like a stage play to me, just to bring that comparison back.
I agree, because I think a lot of people get really annoyed, or I guess with this show, or some people do, for being kind of too over the top or too dramatic, but I never felt that way, and I think the difference is
I thought
kind
that
of
was like
approaching...
its strength, like that its
Yeah.
its direction was its.
That's
its
what it's
strength. I think
known
that's why
for.
it became one of the most popular and beloved anime ever. It's just like how entertaining it is for
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
and I think it is that way because it treats itself more like a stage play than it does something that's trying to give you a more kind of gritty, grounded representation of reality.
Yeah, if this was like Gundam or something, which actually the funny thing is, Code Geass takes a lot from Gundam, like a lot of tropes from Gundam, but it like kind of repackages it in a very different way. At least different for me. And I still love Gundam, but like it's Code Geass is very similar in a lot of ways. But yeah, I think that's probably why it got so big, is that like one, the character's goals are very clear and it's easy to empathize with the main character. And his like character arc is like kind of, I don't want to spoil it, but it's very interesting towards the end, what happens to the main character.
It's one of my favorite endings of all time, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, it ends on a very interesting note, but we can also talk about the fact that there's also a movie coming out, which is kind of a different timeline, which is whatever. I'm probably
All right, that's enough.
Oh,
That's
obnoxious!
enough.
I love it.
That's enough from there. That's how long 5 minutes is. Chance. just let you know.
Damn, call that a quickie, my dude.
Oh, I know, dude. 4 minutes of cleanup. Yeah, I know that
All
feeling.
those sloppy seconds.
That's lewd.
All right. So next up from Much Watch Classics,
We've got 17 with Berserk 97. Not to be confused with the CG series.
Yes,
Oh,
not to be
God.
confused with any of the other many Berserk adaptations. So one of the reasons I really wanted to bring up Berserk 1997 is because it's old now, and it might seem tempting to pick up one of the newer Berserks to kind of get into the series.
Well.
Yeah. The 1997 show, as old as it looks, is a better action show. It handles its action really, really well, and as much as that's not the first thing I want to sell in Berserk, I want to just kind of stress that more than the newer, like, CG shows and things like that, you are going to be getting something that is fun to watch from a pure spectator violence type show. Outside of that, Berserk is obviously so acclaimed mostly for its characters and its world building. It's known for being kind of really gritty and dark, but I don't think that's its core strength. It's just the tone it happens to take. It's really just a lot of strong character and drama writing, and Berserk 1997 adapts a really, really strong section of the manga that's kind of a good way to get into the series.
It's all downhill from there, like low-key, but...
I've heard different arguments. I haven't actually gone that much further than the Golden Age arc into the manga, but I've enjoyed the little that I've read. And I've heard from other people that there are arcs later on that get even better, but I can't even imagine. 97 is such a good self-contained story.
Yeah, well, you say self-contained, but the way that it ends is really interesting.
It
I
ends
would
with
still
loose ends,
recommend-
but it closes itself. It closes off like the story it was trying to tell. Like, I think it's
Yeah,
fine.
no, I
for...
get it. It's just
Yeah.
like the way that it was done was still pretty dank. But
Yeah,
you said
Well,
like
I always hear about this, like how right out the gate, it's like really like a lot of suffering for the main character, and it's really like
being
dark
guts
and
is
messed up.
suffering for the most part.
Yeah, and but I already know what, I'm not gonna spoil it. I already know what happens at one point during the series, and the thing is that I always hear comparisons, like especially with now everyone today not being able to handle a show like Goblin Slayer, and I'm just like, wait, you guys haven't seen Berserk? Because that was like way worse, and I don't want to get into that, but in my mind I'm thinking, was that our generation's like mind-blowingly
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of
dark
people
thing?
haven't seen. I mean, a lot of people have read Berserk, but there's also a lot of people that have not consumed any Berserk at all.
Yeah.
So I also sort of want to touch for a minute on the difference between dark and grimdark, because I don't think... Because, like, there's kind of this, I guess, idea that goes around that Berserk is the same as all of these edgy shows that are just kind of edgy to be edgy, and as edgy as they can physically be. I
Right.
don't think Berserk is quite that. It's deeply disturbing in a lot of ways, and...
Which I like.
The characters suffer a whole lot, but I think the thing that makes Berserk kind of distinct from a lot of these other things is that there's hope and progress for the characters, even as they have the shittiest things happen to them over and over again, which gives a little bit more of a varied experience rather than just sort of shitting on characters until you stop caring about them.
Right. It's like a peaks and valley kind of thing with Berserk.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things you talked about, like how it looks really. I think you talked about how it looks really good, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about, and I want to like shill this specific video about 97.
Oh, yeah, I was going to do that too.
By
Good.
Shapes.
Yeah.
It's like legit one of my favorite like analysis videos, like in general. But like he made the great argument that like 97 Berserk kind of its intent was to be picturesque, like the manga, and not to be something more kinetic, like say the 2016 Berserk, right? And I think that worked to really great, like, you know, what's the word? Great success, I think. It also has like a great soundtrack that works very well with its visuals, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the things that it would have had to have had in the adaptation is a good soundtrack, because as Shapes kind of points out in his video, not to spoil that too much, there's something kind of difficult about adapting the just how kind of beautiful the frames of the manga were, especially in motion, and so in order to adapt something that has a lot more stills, you really kind of need a good soundtrack to support that, and man, does Susumu Hirasawa deliver for that.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Nothing will be wrong.
Yeah.
I
don't
have
get
nothing
that
else really to
reference,
say
oh
about
God.
it.
That's
other
the
than-
opening.
Oh, okay.
put your grasses on.
Yeah, no, it's just like
it's
legit
just
like one
mean.
of my favorite openings, like unironically.
All right.
That was
Motherfucker.
nice,
All
huh?
right.
I'm telling you guys, 5 minutes is a long time. I know. I'm shaving off a little bit, but
All right, we've got Mose with Nichijou. Get him,
Oh,
Mose.
Nichijou, the best anime of all time, because Nichijou is every anime. It is every genre. It has every story.
Nani?
It is both not a story, and at the same time, it's telling like 100 stories at one time. Basically, it's all these different characters that have all these sorts of things going on, but it's also really weird. Like, it's called My Ordinary Life, but all the things that happen are like, one of the characters is in school and has to stand in the hall, and then she looks out the window and sees the principal wrestling a deer. You know, everyday stuff. And it's kind of funny. I would say it's like a box of chocolates.
You never know
And-
what you're gonna get.
And all of them are... But it's like the box of chocolates that's actually good, and not like, oh, this one's the butter toffee. Fuck this shit. No,
Screw you. Butter toffee is great.
Whoa.
I actually... hang on. That's not my
Okay,
opinion.
sorry.
Okay, I do like butter toffee. I was just throwing
Chocolate
that out
cast.
there.
Chocolate cast when?
I don't know. It's hard to really say what Nichijou is, because again, it really is every show. It has really adorable moments, but it also has these really intense action moments because the show is over animated as shit, which makes it funny. So everything's hilarious in it, and it's nice.
Well, like there's those moments where they just add so much. Like I remember one scene they were doing they were walking their dogs, and then like the dog bites them, and the girl just freaks out.
That she
and it
just
makes-
fires a laser into the fucking orbit.
I always feel like that's the animators like, just going like having a lot of fun, saying, all right, let's see what happens if we did like an action-packed beam coming out of someone's mouth. So that's kind of like the modern day of like, oh yeah, weird flex, but okay, like you didn't need to do that, but we get it. Like they're hurt, but
You know what? Nichijou's animation is the definition of weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, it really is. That's a great way to market the show.
That is
Weird
actually a
flex,
really-
but okay.
like you didn't need to
That's
do
good.
any of that, man. No, yeah, I love Nichijou. Like I think the one thing I love most about it is that they always, like, they had a sprinkle of everything, but it's the really like heartwarming moments that aren't even
Yeah.
related to the main. So they're not even related to the main characters. They would just, all right, yeah, I know you guys are watching these girls do some of these crazy antics, but we're gonna go to a scene where there's a bunch of kindergartners taking a test, and it's the most adorable thing. And it's like, this has nothing to do with the actual story. It's just, here, let's warm up your heart for a bit. That was nice. All right, let's get back to the epic stuff, and then all of a sudden they're doing whatever. And it's because sometimes with other shows with comedy, it's always like slapstick, like, oh, let's have this random thing happen just for the lulz. But then it's like, let's have this random thing for the heartwarming people. And I've never had that before. It's really nice, you know. It's like, it's refreshing for me, and I love the hell out of Nichijou.
Nichijou is definitely very LOL random XD, but it's because it works so well because all the characters are actually really good, and the sort of...
You do get a great sense of who the characters are throughout the show.
Exactly, and there's
Yeah.
like a really great consistency with all these characters, a really great amount of believability. Like, I think my two favorite are Nano and Hakase, because they have such a
Yes.
funny relationship with each other. It's like, you know, you got a child professor who built a robot, and then she's like stores all her snacks in the robot and shit like that. But then you get that one chapter where Hakase is scared of thunder, and they're like just kind of sitting together in the dark, like just keeping each other company, and it's like, oh, that's nice,
Dude, it's
and
kind
so
of...
it
It's
goes
almost
beyond.
morbid, kind of, right? Because Hakase basically created a friend for herself. It's almost
Kind of
dark.
is when you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, because they never explain it. Obviously, like I wouldn't argue that this is a turn your brain off show, but the thing is,
Wink,
that,
wink, nudge, nudge.
nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
But the thing is that, yeah, she created the like Nano the robot, and like it obviously has feelings and all that, and now that's like her best friend, you know, the one that watches over her, that does all her chores, and then at the same time, Hakusei almost kind of gives her the life of going to school and all that, and it's a weird, it's a really weird relationship. Like in my mind, I'm like, it's almost sad, but heartwarming because it came from something sad. Like I don't know how to describe it.
It's just nice.
You know what else is nice? That sound. That sound.
This is starting to work way too well, actually.
I'm trying to do that at random time.
I was expecting this to just be like in the middle of conversation, like "Bwah, bwah, bwah," which is way.
I mean, that could happen still, but
okay. Well, let's go over the time limit. Let's do it.
Lightning round. You only get 1 minute. Go. Okay, no.
All right, Bacon, you're up with Made in Abyss.
All right, so I know right off the bat, people would be like, "Well, Made in Abyss is not a must-watch classic," because we assume classics are kind of like what? How old are we now? Like,
some of these shows are at least up to 20 years old, so you know.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
I know. That's why when it said Berserk 97, I'm like, 97.
Yeah, I don't think of
year.
97 as being 20 years ago, even though it's like my age.
Yo,
but like,
Berserk
yeah.
97 can have a beer at this point. Like,
Jesus,
it's legal. So, but
don't put it like that, Bacon. That's
sorry, going back. So, the reason why I said Made in Abyss, is because like, well, the group pick is. Well, the one I wanted, but Main Abyss to me was like, it's a must-watch for everyone because it's really good at building atmosphere. Is what I love most about it. And you know, some people would say world building, and that's true as well. But the thing about Main Abyss is that, or as IGN would say, it makes you really feel like you're a delver. And so the Main Abyss, it's about this giant, like, this just city, right? And in the middle of the city, there's this giant hole that they call the Abyss. And like usually delvers or adventurers, whatever you want to call them, they go down there, try to prove themselves, and try to gather things like artifacts and everything else to either like learn about the Abyss more, because it's still unknown to every single person in there. And two, you know, like usually they use those artifacts to sell or maybe get notoriety to make themselves, you know, get better in higher rankings as delvers. And there's a ranking system with delvers, which is what I love, you know. And then there's always those legends, like the legendary delvers, which are the white whistles. They went all the way down, or they went this far down, they're still down there, and they came back with these big discoveries. And the thing is, all that builds a really nice atmosphere is what the Abyss is. After the first season, we still don't know what it is, but we have all these mysteries about what's in there. There's monsters. There's these weird, almost parallel type, like settings and almost universes in there. That's like, whoa! If I lived in here, I could die, or if I lived in here, I could get stronger. And then there's this big curse that surrounds the Abyss. That if you try climbing out of it, you start to either lose your mind, get sick, all that stuff. You think it'd be the opposite, to where if you went down it, you'd start to go crazier. And then the big mystery of all, which is what I love most, is the very bottom of the Abyss has never been touched, or so we think. We don't know what's down there. And I like that mystery aspect with Made in Abyss. It makes you just think to yourself, like, what's down there? And that's, to me, I get that from a lot of, like, video games. If you find a cave,
you're saying video games. I haven't, like, finished the show, but I wanted to say this show has been marketed as like video game the anime kind, as not video game the anime, but like kind of like a video game actually.
Yeah, it's very adventurous kind of feel, and I love games like that. You know, you find something and you ask yourself, what's in there, you know, and then of course we don't know what's in there, but when you discover it, you're either surprised, shocked, scared. Oh no, I bit off more than I could chew, kind of deal. And then all the characters themselves, the main characters, you know, it's almost like a shonen, like, oh, there's no way you're gonna survive down there, but the little girl's like, oh, I have to go down there, you know, because of this, even though I'm a low-ranking delver. And it's, you know, like, I get that. That's the only thing I was a little indifferent about, because in my mind I was like, dude, she should have died like day one, but somehow you know, she keeps trucking, you know. But
it's because she wanted it more.
No, stop! No, I hate that argument. The power of friendship and plot armor. No. The one thing I want to learn most of all is just, you know, I want to learn about all the other legendary characters that are supposedly the ones that are still down in this abyss. So, and the main reason why I want people to watch this is just because I want them to know how it really feels to be in an atmosphere that's built so well. The music, the way things are drawn out and animated, the like the characters are cool, and like I don't think they add too much to the atmosphere because most of them are kids. We can't really relate to kids too much.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting in some ways, showing the world through the perspective of kids. I mean, I didn't see that much of the show, but I liked in the beginning seeing it from their perspective, and a lot of kind of the detail work and the art of the show actually. Right. Like the world was just very immersive in terms of what it does with perspective and how much it shows you in just like the background of frames.
Right.
Anyway. Oh.
Okay, we gotta stop waiting for the horn.
I'm sorry. I forgot I was talking at one point. And I was like, oh, crap,
one of these days we're gonna be interrupted by the horn. I swear to God.
Well, time to talk about our favorite pick. So this is the group pick from Must Watch Classics. So if you're not gonna watch any of these ones, at least
this
you
is
should
the
watch
one
this
we
one.
all, or at least a majority of the Podfathers endorse.
Mm-hmm. All right, and that is Cowboy Bebop. Anyone want to say anything about Bebop?
It's really good.
It's really good.
If you don't know the timing to the very end of the OP, don't even talk to me. Don't even fucking talk to me.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, let's jam. Oh
No,
God!
the very end.
God damn it.
No, here's the thing. Here's a complaint I hear about Bebop. I sometimes hear from people saying Cowboy Bebop is too slow. And that makes me really irritated because in my mind I'm like, oh, back in my day, you had to ease yourself into the setting before you got into the anime. Because that's what it is for the first episode. The first episode, it shows, space, ships flying around. And I'm thinking, like, for me, it's relaxing. I'm like, oh, dude, this is nice. This is what space would look like.
It's a mood piece,
Exactly. The thing is, people are so, like, alienated and think it's got to be like Attack on Titan. Like, first minute, bam, your mom's dead. Bam, your friends are dead. You're under attack. You're dead. What the fuck? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, like you said, like, there's an episode later on, it's the TV episode, which is one of my favorite episodes of the series, that is, like, a really weird out there, but there's, like, a very specific, like, thick mood to it that I really like about it. Same thing with the Noir episode, which, with the weird...
Ooh, yeah.
Yes, that one is like, there's a distinct lack of like soundtrack to it. It's like it feels like mostly in black and almost kind of close to black and white in a lot of ways.
Right.
It's very dark. It's like there's a certain aesthetic, there's a certain mood to it that I think most if not almost all of Cowboy Bebop does really, really well. Like if they want to do like if they want to do like a comedic episode, they'll do like a weird like mushroom episode, right? Like it's great.
Like they
and not
play
all of those like strike a chord with everyone. I know that like a lot of the comedic episodes are sometimes some of the most controversial, but it's still like the episodes just change tone so much that there's almost inevitably going to be some that you don't like, but most of them are so strong. I don't know. I feel like I liked just about every single episode.
It feels like this is kind of just a love letter to like pop culture, specifically like Western pop culture a lot of the time. And
I mean,
which is probably why it's like
with
resonated with so many people in
characters,
America, at least. Like,
yeah, it wasn't accepted well in Japan, right?
Well, I mean, I think people liked it in Japan, but it wasn't like as strongly liked in, say, America, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. Because it is a lot about Western culture. It's a lot about kind of taking on Western styles, as we were kind of talking about, in terms of like most of, not all of. I'm trying to think of like I don't think all of the episodes are Western in terms of like what they're sort of riffing off of, but most of them are. And
I know with me growing up with Bebop, like I see it as a classic because. The thing is, it has a little bit of everything in it, regardless if it's like, it was on Adult Swim and like had all these S-class voice actors. With me, Bebop, I felt like was, I don't want to say standard because that kind of says it's like low, but it was to me a standard of how anime should be able to tell a story, even though the entire thing was episodic. Because in each episode it manages to build a very unique story of just kind of its own that stands on its own merits, and then also has the added benefit of having this really strong through line in the form of the characters and their backgrounds and drama, which is just the characters, because like of course you want them to. There isn't really an actual goal. You know, from the very beginning it was, oh, I got to get this one guy. It's them. They're all bounty hunters, of course, and then it's always just them going through whatever comes at them and how they react in that situation. And that's one thing I love most about it. Hence why one episode they find shrooms. You know, like, oh, how's the crew handle shrooms? Or, oh, the gang today is gonna try getting this one guy. And I see that's how some people like wouldn't like it, because they just want a linear story. But sometimes I like to think Cowboy Bebop is like, you know, just like life. Things happen. That's what the character says. Whatever happens, happens. And they just go off of it. There's even an episode that's like just for like the dog, Ein. Or like he goes with Ed somewhere, but it gives every character their time to shine, and it gives them time to develop on their own without them relying on each other. They all have their own things to deal with, which is, again, just like life. You know, your friends aren't always going to be raving about you and helping you out. You know, they have their own things to deal with. There's a lot like I picked off from Bebop that like I try to compare just to what we go through in life, and so
yeah. So
goddamn,
sort of looping back to the slowness complaint. I think kind of what this is leading us to is that really the slowness is the point of Cowboy Bebop, because it's not primarily trying to tell a story. It definitely is trying to tell a story, but its first goal is to sort of just immerse you in the lives of these characters, and it does that.
Right.
It's about
in
daily
the lives
life,
of these characters
daily
and
life
kind
is
of the
not
myriad
like a
aesthetics
nice-
of the show.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, it's kind of about like daily life. It like is kind of a slice of life in a lot of ways. It's just
Really?
a very wacky, not wacky, but like very different slice of life. Not everyone really, you know, lives that kind of life, but like there's a lot of slow moments, but like that's what life is. Like life isn't always like, God damn it, it finally happened.
you wanted it, and I was like,
All right.
was over.
Anyway, bell peppers with no beef. It's just bell peppers.
Oh God, I have beef with that.
Dude, guys, shut up.
Thank you. So
All
that's our must-watch classics.
All right, do we want to move on to hidden gems?
Transition.
Okay. Oh, I guess I got to start with Paranoia.
Well, so first we got to start. Let's establish this category real quick, just so
Okay.
people know what we're getting into.
Okay. That's
So,
hidden
so yeah, these
gems.
are shows we recommend that we feel like aren't watched enough or kind of don't get recommended enough for whatever reason. So, yeah, Becker, back to you.
So
I
basically,
agree.
hidden gems, basically.
Hidden gems. Well, I thought we should clarify, just because, like,
No, he's right. Sensei's
No,
We
you're
gotta
right. I'm
clarify.
just being a dick. So
dare
I'm
you.
gonna start with Paranoia Agent, and I don't want to like, and like if you want to hear more about it, you can listen to our Satoshi Kon podcast. Although that goes into deep spoilers, but basically, this show is about like the human condition in a post-war world. Let's just say post-World War world. I think, especially in Japan.
Now that's a tongue twister.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it's about a lot of people that just like have a lot of mental problems, not mental problems, but just deal with like the mental shit of everyday life, and like it always approaches it in a very different way. And there's kind of this like and it's all like kind of weaved together by this like underlying theme of paranoia, right? Paranoia about everything.
Oh my God.
I'm trying my best not to like spoil it, because I think it's just something that you should just go watch. If
Go
you're
watch
into
the
something like
opening.
It's one of those things where, so the conclusion we came to on our podcast about this show was we wanted more people to watch it to talk with them about it, and that was our biggest
because it's
thing.
actually because like it's hard to talk about it's hard to describe the show without getting into like details about it, and I'm trying my best not to spoil it. And it's just like I want people to like experience it and then like come to their own conclusions about it, because it's very open to interpretation. At least the ending is a little bit like, I think everyone kind of takes the ending, especially in everyone takes it differently. But like I do think the opening is really cool, and it's really weird. It's legit one of my favorite openings.
Yeah, I watched it. It's kind of creepy at the same
It's
time.
hilarious.
The whole
There's-
show is very creepy.
it's
like,
it's so funny though.
dude, it is funny.
I would recommend that the opening itself, like, if people aren't sure, I'd probably say just watch the opening and tell us what you think, and because it sends a really interesting vibe, you know. And see how we all reacted differently. I said creepy. One guy, Ma said funny. Yeah. You know, it's just like, see, we all interpret it differently.
It just really makes you laugh, doesn't it?
I don't know.
I do want to try to like interpret why it is like kind of a hidden gem. One, it's very weird, and I think it would make a lot of people uncomfortable, maybe. But I do know that a lot of people would find this show very interesting. But one of the reasons that I do think it is kind of a hidden gem is that it's also not licensed anywhere in the U.S. So, like, a lot of Satoshi Kon work, it's like hard to find legally. So, like, I think that's
really.
It's one of those things where, like, I'm sure people would love it if they watched it, but like, it's just not available for a lot of people.
Right.
But yeah.
Didn't I give you my Paranoia agent bag?
Yes, the laptop bag that I.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Just
I'm not sure what else to say. Like, it's really interesting. Here's the thing. I was going to talk about, like, surrealness in the show, because, like, at times it feels very surreal, and you're not really sure whether, like, things actually happened or not. That gets kind of explained later on. But, yeah. Fuck. I'm not sure what else to say about the show other than it's really interesting. I think people should watch it. But
that was way less than 5 minutes, so I'll show mercy in most times. I want to let you burn for a bit. Like, oh god, I don't know what to say.
Okay, Usher, you gotta let it burn.
Yeah, dude. Shut up.
All right, I guess we can move on to. Oh, it says there's 2 shows, but we can go into like.
Yeah. Well, are we gonna do like? I thought we were gonna do like one each, and then cycle back through.
Okay, now we have 17 with Fullmetal Panic Fumoffu.
Hell yeah.
Right. So this is kind of a weird show to recommend because it's a side story to a different show that has continuity and plot. Fumoffu doesn't, is the first thing I should say.
This is pretty much a filler arc.
It is a filler. Yeah, I'm recommending you guys watch a filler arc of a show that I would recommend significantly less.
Jesus.
Which, Fullmetal Panic is an interesting show. It can be hit or miss for different people. And I think a lot of people don't see Fumoffu because they see Fullmetal Panic and it's not for them, and so they just drop the entire thing and think that they need to watch Fullmetal Panic to watch Fumoffu. Mm-hmm. This is wrong. Fullmetal Panic Fumoffu is all of the comedy elements of Fullmetal Panic distilled into one sort of genius, I don't know what the fuck. But it's hilarious.
That's what makes
is
it
the point.
so
and
good.
Not a lot of people watch it. Yeah, no, it's really good. In my opinion, the comedy is the best thing about Fullmetal Panic, so Fumoffu is a godsend for me. I think it's hilarious.
Because the concept in the original like Fullmetal Panic, it's just a guy in the military and he's just like the most hardcore like soldier you could ever think of, but he needs to blend in high school. So right off the bat, people would be like, "Oh yeah, it's a great concept for like a rom-com or whatever." But the show is still serious all the way through because he actually has a mission. But there's small bits of like comedy of like, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that because I'm in the military," kind of deal.
So a lot of the comedy sort of stems from him being in the military and having been raised in war zones, having never gone to school, and just kind of having that approach to things. He has like some duties of like guarding people from terrorist plots while he's in this school. And so he'll do things like blow up someone's locker because he thinks there might be
yes.
It's one of the better depictions
bomb
of a
in there or
straight guy
something
trope
like that
I've seen.
Appropriate. Wait, hang on. He thinks there's a bomb in there, so he blows it up.
Yes.
No. So like, so in one of the scenes, it's one of my favorite scenes because it just shows how much he just doesn't understand normal life, especially normal life as a high schooler. He opens his locker and then there's a love letter on his shoes.
Oh, right.
And then he's like, "Well, that's an ID." And then he closes it and then he starts setting up a bomb and he blows it up because he thinks it's dangerous. And it's funny because slight spoiler, but a girl goes up to him saying, "Did you get my letter?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I got your letter. I blew it up." And she's like, "What?" It's just so good. He just doesn't know how to live the life of a high schooler, and it's great because we see soldiers like him as like, wow, man, that guy is able to do everything. He's saving the world. I bet he could do anything. But living a normal high school day of life, he just can't. Like, oh, what is this? Why are people fighting for bread? I don't get this. Like, why?
And a lot of it is sort of carried on actually the expression of his character, because I think his character design is genius just because it handles so well the straight-faced sort of humor as he matter-of-factly explains why he committed significant property damage, or I don't know.
Yeah, not a problem. It's okay. Just like, no, it is a problem. You blew up everything.
So as kind of a final note, if you watch the first episode of Fullmetal Panic Fumoffu and don't immediately love it, in my opinion, the 2 funniest episodes...
Ow, was like the quickest 5 minutes ever.
I know, because we love this show. See, that's we basically left you with the cliffhanger there, guys. So you gotta watch.
Yeah, left you guys. You gotta watch the whole show. I can't recommend you the episodes to skip to. So
all right, we've got
on.
Mozilla with Sangatsu no Lion, aka 3Gatsu, but why would you call it 3Gatsu, TBH?
This isn't. For some people, this probably isn't much of a hidden gem because it's not only a recent show, but the second season also made it like a masterpiece tier sort of thing. So lots of people actually are recommending it. I just haven't seen a lot of not popular stuff, so whatever. Anyway, this show's about a sad boy who plays shogi.
Sad boy.
No, he really is a sad boy. That's hilarious.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have laughed at it.
Depression is hilarious. No, but this I think that the appeal of, even though it's like a shogi anime, I guess, like that's his occupation, it really, Sangatsu is about dealing with depression, I guess, and living through it, because you kind of see, you really get a sense of how the character lives his life every day, and it's just nothing. It's very quiet, it's very silent, it's very boring. There's nothing going on.
He's always drowning in something, right? Like depression is literally an ocean that he drowns in all the time.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, there's lots of imagery.
It's an interesting visual, actually.
It's a Shaft anime, so
yeah,
get ready for lots of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But what's also amazing is that the depressing scenes, aside from the more imaginative ones, they're very stark, they're very empty, they're very dreary. And then he interacts with someone else, and their lives, they have so much going on with them, and it's like, it's so much happier, it's so much more exciting and energetic, there's so much more color and life to it.
Especially
it's
with the three sisters, yeah? Like, those scenes are always the most colorful scenes of the show, for sure.
They're the best characters of all time. Akari is my waifu. 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did dibs on my Yori. He admitted it. It's mine now. Sorry, I don't.
Hey, can you creep?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. You can have my Yori. You can have both of them, man. It's your harem. I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah, I do have
Oh.
Anyway, I think that Sangatsu, it's great because it not only really captures depression really well with images alone, without a whole lot of monologuing and shit, but it does the tonal shifts really well, because again, it's like it's he's entering someone else's life, and it's, you know, their life has so many it's like an image of their lives, right? Something like that. It's hard to explain in a very, very small amount of time.
Is this a show that's gonna make me feel like more depressed than I usually am?
I don't know if it'll make you feel depressed, but it'll make you maybe understand depression a little bit more. Okay,
that's a good way. Because
sure,
I've watched shows that, like, NHK is like one show I'm just like, wow, this hits too close to home, man. Like, come on. And I don't know. I'm indifferent about shows about depression.
I don't think it's as like cynical or like dark as
it's actually. It's a very. I mean, okay.
It feels a lot more uplifting in a lot of ways. Actually,
there's lots of ups and downs to it.
Right.
There's lots of ups and downs to it. Like, I would actually say that the first season is like mostly about the main character's depression, but then the second season is like he kind of gets over it, and then it's like he's trying to help someone else get through their depression. But it's also not like a series where it's like every single character is super fucked up, but everyone does have something going on. Like, there's one character
everyone has their own backstory, everyone has their own past.
I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty
like
cool.
There's like the sisters who have some sort of like, where are their parents? Where are they? Who knows? Lots of problems with that. There's another kid who's got like a sickness and could, like, you know, potentially die at any given moment. Lots of other things.
I like that they give like backstory. Oh, got it. I was gonna say, I like that they give backstory on like a lot of the shogi opponents as well. Some of that is pretty interesting from time to time.
It's great because there are so many different ages.
Mm-hmm.
Like the main character's a teenager, but there are lots of adults, there are lots of little kids as well, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yo, shout out to Ray's chubby friend. He's like low-key the best. I love him.
He is.
shout out to all my chubby friends. You're all the greatest too. All right, so
now we're moving on to Bacon with Hajime no Ippo.
Yes. Okay. So the thing with Hajime no Ippo that I feel is a hidden gem because, you know, just like with a lot of shows that you guys said, it's not talked about enough, and it's such a good show. Now, Hajime no Ippo is about boxing, and I feel the anime community really is all about a lot of sports anime series, but when it comes to boxing, I feel like a lot of people dismiss it easily because either A, they don't like boxing, or two, like A2, I don't know what I was thinking about. So two, they don't like they feel boxing is like too simple, you know, it's just two guys in one ring punching each other. And the thing is, yes, you're right, but when you really break it down in terms of like the sport itself, it is a lot of strategizing, and there, of course, everyone wants to see the whole, oh, you gotta have heart, Rocky, yeah, you know, just throw,
you gotta have the
Marys.
willpower.
You gotta have the willpower, you gotta want it more and stuff like that. Ippo doesn't really take that route, but to me, Ippo is probably one of the most humbling journeys for someone who's stepping into a sport that is very dangerous.
It's very inspirational. Like I think the English translation for Hajime no Ippo is the fighting spirit, right? Like,
yeah, the fighting, or like the fighting spirit, Ippo's fighting spirit, whichever one of those you want to interpret. And the thing was with Ippo, the one thing I love most is that, like, I see like a lot of other sports series, it's always the whole, I'm gonna be the best in the world, or I'm gonna be like this. I got this sort of disadvantage in this sport, I'm still gonna overcome it. The thing with Ippo is that he starts out getting bullied, but he's not someone that says at any point, I'm going to get strong enough to fight these bullies. He just, honestly, in his mind, he just wants to stop.
The funny thing is he actually, like, becomes friends with the bullies later on.
Exactly. The thing,
because they look up to him, they respect him now, right? Like,
yes. So he didn't really fight them, but he earned their respect through something that a lot of other people saw was like amazing, because they looked at him like, wait, you're a boxer? He's like, yeah, I box, it's not a big deal. And he's like, they're like, wow, that's the coolest thing ever, like, we were wrong about you, we're so sorry, you know, we were messing with a boxer. And it's kind of cool because Ippo, in my mind, he's probably one of the most humbling characters out there. Every time they ask him, what are you gonna do with this next fight, you know, are you gonna,
he's like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's they hate it at one point, but they're like, he's like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do my best. You know, he never says anything like, I'm going to be champion.
And then he gives punches with the sounds of jet engines, and it's the greatest thing
ever.
Oh
my god, the Dempsey roll. And that's the thing too. So the thing with Ippo is, like, there's not a lot of superpower moments. Like, you know, Kuroko no Basket.
It's not. I don't think it's Kuroko levels of like superpowers.
It's not, but they stretch it out enough to where you can understand how devastating something is.
They give you, like, they sprinkle it in. It's not like,
yeah. The one thing about it is that it is accurate. There are parts in the boxing.
Oh yeah, there's like real names for a lot of these moves and everything. It's actually like very interesting. It gets you interested in boxing. Like you said, a lot of people don't like boxing, but like I felt indifferent about boxing before Ippo, and I'm just like, well, boxing's actually kind of legit. TV.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strategy involved with that kind of thing, like wearing people out and everything. Like, that's pretty interesting, at least to me.
Right, and especially like the importance of preparation. Everyone thinks that you're punching a punching bag for like days on end and shadow boxing and
but you do a lot of running. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
That's the first thing they said. They're like, all right, you want to try punching? Well, you're gonna have to
go run. Yeah, there's like an entire episode with like, oh no, there's I think in the first or second episode, there's like Ippo catching all the leaves from the tree, which I thought was interesting.
Right, and it was kind of the whole. That was like the moment where they found out he actually had a knack for it, because the challenge was, you know, kick the tree, catch all the leaves. And it's funny because they thought he was just going to catch the leaves the normal way. He still would have passed if he caught the leaves, like if he cupped out his hands, because that would have showed he had hand-eye coordination. But instead he punched the air, or airboxed, and caught the leaves with his hands. And then they were like, wow, he's got a knack for it. As well as he's a fisherman, so he's really good at standing on a boat, giving him lower body strength. But going beyond that, like, Ippo itself it's a really good it's a good coming of age story / you know, journey to like to the top. And trust me, it's not gonna be those, it was like an easy cakewalk from, because there are moments where you're just like, dude,
there are moments when Ippo loses and it's like the saddest thing ever.
Yeah, you didn't think he would, and at the same time, there was.
And the thing is, he like worked his ass off in those fights too, and he just still got his ass handed to him.
Yeah, and it messes with his head too. You know, they talk about the psychology of a boxer. You know, after a loss, you know how hard it is to bounce back. You know, once you get 2 losses in a row, they say you're done, because it's like, dude, coming back from that, you know, you're nothing. People don't care about you, and they also go off of controversies too, like home field advantage. Like there's a part in the series where one of Ippo's boxing friends fights in another country, and it's a clean cut like decision made, like where he did way better, but he still lost. No, he didn't lose. They called it a draw. But it's like, whoa, he threw more punches, but they're in Thailand, and they're like, nah, man, you're Japanese. They just kept it on the down low, you know, like, it's no. It was a tie, you know, and so it's a good way to educate people on boxing and stretching out to how. And it's culture too, you know, and stuff like that. And I'm gonna do the horn on myself because I'm going too long. God damn it.
Oh no, I think that was a solid recommendation actually.
Oh yeah. Just pick up Ippo, please.
Yeah, I wanted to say one of the reasons why it's probably not as watched is because it's hard to watch the first series anywhere legally. Like they have the sequels on Crunchyroll, but like you can't really get the first series anywhere. You can buy the old Genie on DVDs on eBay if you really wanted to, but
Jesus.
I mean, nobody's gonna do that. But
yeah, it's long, 75 episodes, but you wish.
Yeah, the original series is 75 or 76, I think, but like it's super duper long.
It's super good though. It'll inspire you, man.
Yeah.
All right, next.
Okay, so we have the Podfather picks, which is the first one is Shinsekai Yori. Does anyone want to start with Shinsekai Yori?
I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
Wait, who here has seen it? I've seen it.
I have. Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah, all through. So everyone but Bacon.
Yay.
Yeah. We're gonna recommend it to Bacon.
Okay, sell me on it. What's this about?
Shinsekai Yori, I want to say, is the anime that I've completed the fastest out of all like 2 core shows. I watched it in under 18 hours.
Damn.
See, Shinsekai Yori took me forever to watch. Still highly recommended for me, but there are 3 or 2 sort of natural break points in the show when it changes arcs, and at those particular moments, like I could take a break at each because it kind of like resets the pacing during those.
Yeah, it does definitely.
So it was a little bit harder for me to binge, but I still love the show.
Mm-hmm. I definitely binged a lot of it once it got to a certain point. Like, I was like, wow, things are getting really
what is
interesting
this?
now.
What's this show about?
It's hard to talk about Shinsekai Yori without delving too much into spoilers because, like, part of it is like the reveals.
Okay, so Shinsekai Yori, it's an anime where, so basically, in what we know, in basically our current day, humans developed psychokinesis, or some humans developed psychokinesis, and this spawned such an incredible war that it destroyed all of civilization. So it's like, Shinsekai Yori is like 1,000 years in the future where civilization is very, very small, but every single person has psychokinesis now. And there are very, very specific laws as to how it works, basically.
Huh.
And so the beginning of the show is just kind of this feel of like the main characters who are kids learning how to deal with their psychokinesis and just hanging out in a village that's kind of weird and creepy, with a lot of just kind of like hint undertones of weird stuff going on in their society. There are rat people that are a thing and sort of subservient to everyone else.
What is this?
It's just a very odd show that it's kind of there to pull you in with its intrigue, and then at some point it slams you with a lot of, I don't know, it's just a really good kind of exploration of ideas at the end of the day is what I think the big thing about Shinsekai Yori is for me. Is that it's one of those shows that you finish and you don't have the entire value of the show at the moment you finish it. The whole value of the show is the weeks afterwards thinking about it.
Yeah,
it just kind of sticks in your head.
It's really hard to talk about without spoilers because like there's some like it kind of relies, but like part of like its thing is like things aren't what they seem they are, kind of.
Yeah, and it's not like a shock value thing so much as it's a mystery thing.
And
Mystery.
a lot of the stuff gets like slowly revealed over time. It's very gradual.
The reason why...
Oh, come on.
You asked her this.
All right.
I'll add that to my plan to watch list, gentlemen. Thanks for just recommending it to me, not the audience. Audience doesn't even watch it.
Well, you are standing for the audience, so.
Oh no! Why? I was
Dude, you're
kicked out of the pod.
Dude.
Oh god.
All right, so I guess we'll continue the hidden gems with my pick for Plenty Tests.
Yes, dude, the show is amazing, man. I thank you so much for recommending to it.
How do
loved it.
I think Bacon and I are the only ones who's seen it. So Plenty Tests is a show from the year 2003 about a bunch of people who are garbage collectors in space, which is a pretty cool concept, honestly. Like.
Yeah, they launched all those body pillows of your waifus in space,
Yeah.
and now they gotta clean it up. God dang it, guys.
So in the future, there's like a bunch of like, there's advancing technology, but like where does all that like, old technology go? Well, it sits in space. It's trash. Like a bunch of old satellites and stuff like that. It's very interesting.
Old equipment that just like, oh, it's outdated, so they just left it there thinking, oh yeah, it'll just float away.
Mm-hmm. So it's like that's kind of the hook of the show, but it's mostly about like our main protagonist, Ai Tanabe, and her life as a garbage collector, essentially, or in that section. She meets a whole colorful cast of characters, all of which get kind of their own backstory as the show goes on. And I'm trying not to reveal too much about it. I will say it starts off episodic, and I low-key think that's the best part of the show. And then it gets a little bit more like plot-focused in the second half.
I'd agree with that. The thing is that the one thing I like most about the part. Well, I'll start with the episode.
I should say it's mostly like kind of a not lighthearted first half, but like the second half gets a lot more serious for sure.
Right. It gets too much into like ideals. I think it is.
Yeah, it is actually.
There's a lot of what it means to be in space and stuff like that.
It's also about like dreams and like aspirations a lot of the time, at least for one character. Later on, but it also becomes like a psychological drama. Kind of fucked up at points.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that. No, but the thing I liked about the first half when it came to just the everyday, like episodic kind of thing, because one of the things that they always emphasize in this show is like, first of all, they, like you said, they are garbage collectors. Of course, like they would say, oh no, we're debris haulers. If we don't do this, it could cause a lot of trouble, which is kind of true. If you get
like
debris
it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. Like it's kind of a low ranking job, right? Like everyone. Yeah. The thing is, like, Ai Tanabe goes into that section with, like, really high hopes and dreams, and then she realizes, oh, nobody here gives a fuck, they're just doing their job, kind of thing.
Right. Especially she joined a company that was known for, like, oh, wow, you're joining that one big space company. Those guys are the top dog. Congrats. But they're sweeping the floors kind of deal. Yep. It's like, oh, yeah, like,
everybody has to start somewhere. And then she gets like a rude like reality check, like nobody there gives a shit.
Yeah, and they kick him down like, oh, you're from that section, you're from the debris hauling section. Psh, dude, that sucks. That kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Even though you'd argue that they're doing probably one of the toughest jobs with the most with little reward. No one thanks them. No one cares.
Yeah, it's like the most like labor intense. It's like one of the most labor intensive jobs, but nobody like gives a shit about it or like
and you
sees
die,
it as like respectable, I guess.
Right. That's kind of like like being a janitor. Like unless they're gone, that's
or
when you
working
care about
out like
them.
in the farms or like doing field stuff. Like that shit's hard, but like nobody kind of respects it as much. Or even like something as like kind of labor, like kind of like very almost intensive as like fast food or something. Like that's actually kind of an intense job a lot of the time because there's always people coming in ordering food, right? So you have to be doing stuff all the time, and like that job is kind of considered like low tier, I guess, because like I don't know.
But it's tough to pull off. Okay, so the thing I read most into it, and I like how you brought up like fast food and all that. It's like it's the one job that not many people want to do. The people who are doing it aren't the happiest.
Yeah, and they all have like reasons to be there and stuff.
Gotta
like
pay
I
bills.
said, they all get backstories and everything. It's really interesting.
But in the end, I love most is that these characters are doing this job, because some people just be like, why don't you leave? Why don't you just do this? In the end, you could kind of feel like they do have a sense of pride in that job, and at the same time, sense of purpose. And it's like, damn, they are good at what they do. That's just how it is. You look at anyone
that's probably
else,
the reason they continue to be there. It's like, well, one, no one else wants to do it, and two, they're pretty good at it. So that's probably why a lot of people are currently in their job. Like they're good at it, or no one else wants to do it.
Right. And I do have respect for people who, even though they're at a dead end job, they still give 100% at it, and that's like a lot of respect for that. So that's why I love these characters. But when it gets into the really serious aspect of the show, I'm just like, it kind of lost its little charm.
I think I mean, while I do really like it, I like the first half a little bit more than the second half. I think the second half is a bit it's been a while since I've seen it.
Right.
But I'm going based off my memory. but I understand kind of why they went like that direction. Like it can't just be like episodic all the time.
Something has to happen. Take the oxygen. Take the oxygen. Do it. Do it. That's what I was yelling the whole time towards the end. I was like, do it. Take it. It's for you.
Yeah, that's crazy how that works.
I know.
All right. Now we're back with 17 with Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Lots good.
Am I the only one who's seen this?
I have seen 12 episodes of it.
Okay, cool. So, Legend of the Galactic Heroes
You get 3 minutes.
is a hidden gem not because it's known that it's... I can talk forever about this show.
Go on.
Not because it's not known that it's good, but because no one watches it because it's huge and inaccessible, but let me make a case for that. Legend of the Galactic Heroes is a space opera, primarily. It has a really well-developed universe, and is about two giant nations, an intergalactic empire or an interstellar empire and an interstellar democracy, duking it out for who gets to rule all of everything. It's got big personalities and this just huge cast of characters that it's just insane that you're even able to keep track of it, and yet somehow the show manages to present it in such a way that that you can keep track of this massive cast of characters. And it is effective at drama, it's effective at good storytelling, it's just all around a really, really fun ride. It's very long and will probably take you a long time to watch because there are a lot of episodes that are just kind of slow. It's half the time it's a slow show, and then when it's fast it starts moving almost at blistering pace in terms of just kind of like how much changes in the world and character deaths and all of these things.
Oh god, I don't like that at all. That's like too much.
I don't know. I think it's fantastic because it kind of lulls you into this false sense of security, and then just kind of whips out the drama that's been spending all of this time sort of building up to. Like, to me, it's almost the ideal of what action is trying to do in terms of tension building and release. Which Legend of the Galactic Heroes does in the political sphere, in the fleet combat sphere, and just about everything.
Go on.
So touching on this, there's the old OVA series Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is primarily what I'm recommending here. But there is also a newer anime called Legend of the Galactic Heroes Die Neue These. I
think it's the new
fucking up the
thesis.
German really bad.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's which I also think is really good. It doesn't adapt the whole thing, it kind of adapts the beginning, and it's not, in my opinion, as good as the old show in terms of the level of, like, kind of depth and things you get to explore, but it's better at pacing itself like a normal show paces itself. So it's kind of good for new viewers to get into the characters and things that way before subjecting themselves to the weird pacing that you'll eventually grow to love in the original Legend of the Galactic Heroes. So if you feel like it's kind of unapproachable, it might be a good idea to watch this new show and then go back to the old one.
Oh, jeez.
I
anyway.
actually wanted to say this for a second. I just realized Legend of the Galactic Heroes is actually a lot like Code Geass in a lot of ways from the 12 episodes I've seen of it.
Yes. It is
like really similar.
Okay, so Code
Really?
Geass was one of my number one favorites until I watched Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and then I was kind of like, I still love Code Geass, but it kind of took that slot of what Code Geass did, and it kind of just did it better. Mm-hmm. Like,
Really?
well, sort of. There's some stuff in Code Geass that you don't really get from Legend of the Galactic Heroes that I think is fantastic.
Similar, like, I don't know how to say structure, but like similar. They're very similar, like, variables in the show that they do.
Yeah, both of them scratch the same itch for me in a lot of ways in terms of like the master plans and like the... Oh, that's another thing I should touch on. Some of the tactics in Legend of the Galactic Heroes at the very beginning are kind of bad. It's been sort of memed, some of the battles. It gets a lot better. So if you find yourself looking at some of the fleet combat and going, why does this work? Hold out a little bit. It does get better.
You hear that, Moz? It gets better. It gets better.
Triggered.
God damn it.
That's cool how that works out because, you know,
Yeah.
it's super
It
triggered.
might be interesting
words.
to note that Legend of the Galactic Heroes is available to watch on High Dive.
Nice. See, I'm gonna go check that out on High Dive. check
.com.
it out. .com/Legend of the Galactic. I don't know how to plug things. I don't know how this
Ooh.
works.
I'll plug you, buddy.
No, no.
All right, we've got Moe's with Sakamichi no Apollon, aka Adolescence Upon an
Fuck
Incline.
yeah.
Adolescence upon an incline.
That's the
an
only
old
way
meme.
to call the show. Is just Adolescence Upon an
Dude,
Incline.
that's a very old meme to
It's a
reference to
really
there.
old meme, actually.
I don't even
It's a
know what
good
the
meme,
fuck
though. I
that
think it's
means.
solid.
Okay, so I'll explain it. If you guys remember Potaku with Holden, Giguk, and them, that's what Holden called Kids on the Slope. He called it Adolescence Upon an Incline. I thought that was the funniest thing back then.
I mean, it's synonymous, so in terms of we're translating it, we can translate it how we want. Adolescence on an Incline is accurate. Fuck you.
It's right. Well, go on, Mom.
This better not count as my 5 minutes.
No, I mean,
No. Okay, you're starting
all
now.
right,
Go.
not on the
Now.
show, my dude.
Go.
So, Kids on the Slope is a music anime. It's actually an adaptation of a manga, and it's directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who you should know about. If you don't, he's the guy who directed Cowboy Bebop and Terror in Tokyo and Space Dandy and a bunch of other shit.
Wait, you forgot Champloo. Wow, that's
Samurai Champloo, okay?
Oh,
Fuck.
ouch.
I was just
Ouch.
saying things off the top of my head.
You said
Anyway.
terror in Tokyo.
It's Terror
before
Resonance.
Champloo. That's
Yeah, I don't know why that came to mind. Okay, I'll take the L on that. Anyway, so the guy's just an amazing director. So this anime has probably the best music playing I've ever seen, like ever. Like there's a drum solo in episode 1, and I used to be a drum solo, and I feel like sometimes just with animation you just never really get good drumming because
The
it's
whole thing
always
is
just like in the
rotoscoped, if I
back.
remember correctly.
I mean, it's good sometimes, but it's usually like the animators kind of use it as an excuse to just do like just normal hand motions because it's in the background. And it's like, who cares? Actually, I care. So you get this really nuts sequence in episode 1, and it's like, okay, this is the best show of all time. I can't really say much about the writing of the show, admittedly. Aside from that, it is.
How's it the best show of all time if the writing's not good? What the hell is this?
I mean, I didn't say it wasn't good. I'm just saying I didn't really care
Oh.
that much. I just watched
Oh.
it because, as a music anime, it's just captured so well in animation, and it does it has performances that are very well timed with the story. So even if I'm not into like the character drama itself, it's kind of telling stories with the music itself. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
in
also a nice
particular,
period
there's
piece,
one.
too.
There's
Set-
one scene later on with that's just absolutely fantastically directed. I can't remember which episode it was in.
I
but-
imagine you're talking about the one where the power goes out, and they have to do an improv.
Oh yeah. So there are just a few scenes where like character story is told so well just through the music and through the actual action and directing what's going on scene rather than dialogue and conversation. Like it's a well communicated and well shot show.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that for a music anime, if you're into music at all, playing music, listening to music, absolutely watch this show. It's the genre for this is jazz.
Ooh.
And even
It's like
without,
old school jazz too.
Yeah. So even
Oh, I should
without-
say the music is done by Yoko Kanno, so you know it's fucking nut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so good. I listen
Yeah,
to
it's just-
Lullaby and Birdland a lot, actually. Like that song is my jam.
Yeah, it has some of the best music performances I've ever seen in any anime.
Now I saw the cover, and it's like a group of people. Is there any romance in there anywhere? or
Yes.
what? No.
Yes. Yes.
There
it
is. Yes.
Absolutely.
It's
Music
kinda
and
like a love
romance.
triangle.
Oh, I love triangles. Not really. I don't. They make me sad.
Yeah, the plot's actually pretty good. Like it's a solid teen kind of like coming of age story and drama superimposed on just this really like I guess just with these kind of like really sick like aesthetic elements to it that make it just kind of stand out a lot.
Why does this happen so perfectly? Damn.
That's my favorite song of all. Is the air horn.
God damn it.
When are we getting
I
the
love
air
what
horn
Yoko Kanno did
anime?
with the air horns.
And the air horn anime.
no,
What?
no, we need like Guitar Hero to make a comeback, but it's Air Horn Hero.
That sounds
fantastic.
awful.
Hey, like you can make any type of game now and put on Steam, man. That's your dream. Do
Yeah,
it.
we should make that.
Yo,
we should make
Steam
Air
is
Horn
the
Hero
dream.
I mean, we only have to program one button, right? Like,
It's just like you just get all this like famous licensed music, and the only thing is you just play an air horn over it.
In the background.
All right.
Oh,
We've got Bacon. Up next, we've got Bacon with, unfortunately, Girls in Panzer.
How dare you? How dare you downplay this? All right, gentlemen, all of you people listening. I know I always talk about Girls in Panzer, but here's the legitimate reason why I am recommending it to you guys. So, I know girls driving tanks. You think to yourself, no.
That sounds like
they
memes.
wouldn't. Yeah, it sounds like just memes. It's probably gonna be like K-On! They're not even gonna actually pilot or drive the tanks. They're just gonna sit around eating cake on it. And that's the thing. And if you look at the cover, it's them just on top of.
There is quite a bit of tea drinking, though.
Wait, is this K-On! Tanks?
No, it's not K-On! Tanks.
On
Because unlike K-On!, they actually do stuff, right? And they actually try to do their best, all right? No, I'm
The
sorry.
K-On! Girls do their best.
They do their best, but a lot of them, then it's just messing around. But Girls in Panzer, they don't mess around. Because in this world, they're all on, like, it's a slight spoiler, but they're all on carrier ships. And they have a competition called Tankery.
I love that they have their own. Sorry to cut you off, but I love that they have their
fine.
own civilization on the carrier. Like, that's just
Right.
great.
It's something that doesn't really get touched up upon too much, because you would think they'd answer that question, like, why are all...
I think it's just one of those things that's just kind of like fun left unanswered. Like, it's just a thing.
Yeah, 'cause they mentioned it once, saying, like, why is it that we're on carrier ships? And then they said, because having schools and academic academies on land was seen as inefficient, so it's better to teach on boats and stuff like that. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. And you see throughout the series, like, they're just a normal, like, academic studies, but when they explore the ship on the OVAs, you see other girls in the Navy, like, doing Navy studies, and then you see other girls doing, like, military studies. But that's stuff that really doesn't matter too much. It's just obvious. It's more about the tanks, So they have a tournament style arc, which is like, hey, you have to win these tank battles in order to reach the very top. And if you're the school that wins the overall tankery tournament, you're seen as like gods, like you're most likely gonna get money, sponsorships, whatever. Because the underlying plot of the story is their school is getting shut down, just like all other school anime series that has sports and idol shows and whatnot. And in order for them to keep their school alive, or at least stay relevant, is that they got to win the tankery competitions. So you think to yourself, oh yeah, it's just them driving tanks. They're probably gonna do terrible at it. But the thing is, one, the tanks in there are World War II tanks, and they're very accurate, except that they travel a little too fast. In one video I watched, because this guy does an in-depth analysis on every single tank in there. And two is not only that, it's a lot of like strategies being like placed when they fight each other. And the thing is, it's almost a borderline, I won't say racist, but there are a lot of stereotypical things they do with all the other tanks, because there's a school that's based off the US, and all they have are M4s and M4 Fireflies, which are the tanks and Shermans that are used in World War II. And what the thing is about them, you know how they win? Pure McDonald's. They just have a lot of tanks and they just crank them out, and they're rolling 20 deep versus 10. You know what I mean? That's how way America won it. And then you got the German team. They have the Tigers, and they had like all that stuff, and like then they have very like distinct strategies, and obviously their tanks are the most efficient. And then you got the Russian team. They fought in the snow, and they had the KV-1s and KV-2s, all that stuff. And the accuracy with each tank looks really nice, and I was always a fan of World War II like history and stuff like that, and so that's why I loved it so much. Girls, they're cute, and that's all I could say. And the music that accompanies each team, like the American team and all that, it's actual like fanfares and music that was like played in those times, when they were marching down the street and stuff like that. Overall, the action is just really good. Yes, there's tank drifting. Yes, there are times where it's like, I don't think that could really happen for a show that's trying to be historically accurate.
I don't think it was ever trying to be historically accurate. I think it was just trying to be like fun from the get-go. Like,
exactly. This show overall, it's fun. If you're trying to think to yourself, oh, why can't it be like
I think
real
it's a great
warfare?
pieces of like almost absurdism, because like the idea of like tanks drifting is like really funny. Like it's very absurd. The whole show is absurd in concept. Which makes sense, because this is the same guy who directed Maioiga and a bunch of... Yeah. No, this guy is a weird... This guy is an absolute madman. He loves doing weird shit. every
And
time.
that's what makes it stand out. That's why I like how much it stands out in all this. Just because, I don't know, it's I love it so much. Like, I can't stop talking about it, and I'm sad that it's ending in 6 years.
Damn, dude, I wish my favorite anime could end in 6 years.
Well,
I wish my life could end in 6 years.
No,
Wait,
don't
Mose,
you?
no.
No, don't do
Hank
it.
says join the chat.
All I can say is all my phone locked. Bwah, bwah, bwah. All I can say is, yeah, watch Girls in Panzer if you want just solid fun.
In particular, watch the film. Like, the film is like peak Girls in Panzer.
Yeah, the film is like 30 minutes of plot development and just an hour and a half straight of
Yo, that
battling.
Ferris wheel scene, nut.
Dude, the Ferris wheel scene and like when the big tank comes in. I don't want to spoil it, but
it's
the
great.
really the mega tank, and they're just like, oh god, back up, and they're crying, oh god. Yeah, have fun with all that.
All right. Ooh, you know what's next is the Podfather picks for Perfect
Hell yeah.
Blue. Hell yes. Ooh. I just finished talking about this on the Turn Your Brain Off podcast, so like...
Oh, whoops, we're out of time. Okay,
Oh,
thanks.
you son of a bitch.
I haven't seen it. I'm so sorry, guys.
Well, okay, so what is Perfect Blue about? Actually, I want to have 17 talk about Perfect Blue because he's the con boy. He's the con man.
Con
if you will.
Okay.
He's the con man.
So Perfect Blue is, so I guess primarily, like, the first thing to describe it as is a mind fuck. It is just this kind of surreal exploration of how terrible idol culture is. I don't know.
No.
Or I guess
I already
like
hate
almost
this.
like the
Premise is
otaku
deeply
like
weird.
culture, like not even like it's not even idol. Well, I mean the focus is on idols, but it's more about like celebrity culture in general.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
could apply it
So
to that.
yeah, it's kind of this deep exploration of celebrity culture, like, also with a murder mystery superimposed over it, and a lot of kind of surreal shooting and stuff, to the point where you and also the character who you're following
does
really
not know what's real and what
anymore.
isn't. It's actually
Yeah.
like really cool. But the
Yeah,
movie
it-
does give you hints at like what's going on. You have to. I kind of figured it out all like by watching it a few times, and like I feel like I got something different out of every watch. Like there's like a lot of like, especially with the ending, because a lot of people feel kind of about the ending. But I think I watched it for the third time in theaters, and the ending makes sense to me. I get the ending now at this point.
Yeah, I like the ending. I think it's good. I think it fits well with the show's themes. I think it's a well-developed mystery and well-told. I don't know.
I think it was just
Like,
the
it's
ending that people
definitely
weren't expecting. Honestly,
Weird.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still built up, like, throughout the entire film.
Oh
and
yeah,
I
there's
think-
subtle hints.
yeah.
Like once you know how it ends and you watch it again and you look for hints, like you'll find you will find things. Like
It's the sort of film that merits watching multiple times, because you'll definitely pick up more the second time, like, leading into the mystery, and also potentially other kind of threads and symbolism, just because there's so much going on.
it's a very densely packed movie. It's actually like probably one of the best built.
It's so dense. There are so many things going on.
There are
in
like
every
a lot of
single
things
image.
going on in the movie. It's very interesting, but I just want to
And
talk about
disturbing.
this. I
Don't
just want to say this real
watch it.
quick. I talked about this on the Turn Your Brain Off episode, but like there's a scene where the fax machine transitions into background music, and I've always thought that was like the coolest shit ever. Like there's a scene, I don't even remember what scene it was, but like there's a scene where there's just I think it's like after she goes on the internet for the first time. There's a fax machine and it just starts making noise, and then it transitions into this weird background music, and I'm just like, what the fuck? That's cool as shit. Like this movie, if you don't even know what's going on, you can at least enjoy it for like how good it is at like fucking with you. Like even if you don't know what's going on, it's a fun experience. It's a fun thriller experience from like start to end. Actually,
Does
the
a
first
fantastic
20, like
job
the
of
first
just-
10 minutes are kind of slow a little bit, but like once it gets
Yeah, but
going,
it's also for, like, building and giving context, because I feel like after those first 10 minutes, it dumps you so well into the perspective of this
Actually-
character and kind of her own uncertainty and, like...
I don't even know if it's like the first 10 minutes, but like the first performance, like the opening
Yeah.
performance, I think is like kind of the weakest part of the film. But like once it like really gets going, it's fantastic from start to finish.
It's one of those things where you're going to be on the edge of your seat. You might want to shower afterwards, but it's definitely
You
a
might
good
want to look
experience.
behind you, like look in your reflection, like it's that kind of movie. Like you're gonna be spooked from like after it.
Oh God, no.
I know
He's gonna
Bacon
ruin
likes Idol, so I don't know if he wants to watch this.
Oh no, it's gonna ruin.
You
Idol
will
for
probably
me.
see idol culture a little bit differently after that. I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it changes my perspective on idol culture.
I think-
'cause
well, I think-
I have a fascination with idol culture. That's the thing.
Well,
like,
that's the thing.
but-
Like, I think you might actually actually, now that I think about it, I think you might empathize with like what it's saying about idol culture, because it paints idol culture, like the bad parts about it, as very, very bad. But it does it in a very like weird supernatural way. It's
I
kinda
like
cool.
it. I like
Yes.
it. Ooh! I didn't want to interrupt myself because I'm the most important.
Oh,
one
of course
here.
not.
Yeah. Why would I do that to myself? Jeez, God.
All right. Do we want to move on to personal favorites now?
Think so. Think that's where
Are
we're
we transitioning into personal?
Transition. All right. So I guess I will start with Samurai Champloo. I can't do the beatboxing or like the or like the what's it? What is it like the not the vinyl rip, but like the DJ, right?
100 dumplings.
100 dumplings.
DJ Khaled.
Your math is very off.
Another one.
So how do I think most people here have seen Champloo besides Moe's, I think, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen
Everyone-
it. I love it.
All right.
Yeah, I just watched it.
Yes.
So
We're
fresh in
Recommending
my
this
mind.
to Moz. Yeah.
Yeah. So this show is often compared. It's directed by Watanabe, so the same guy who did Cowboy Bebop, Sakamichi no Apollon, Terror in Resonance. This show is often compared to Bebop in a lot of ways, but I think it's actually like very different in a lot of ways. It's a very like music focused show, like Bebop is. There's a lot of like references to hip hop and everything like that. But I think what makes it different is like how, like what it's saying actually. So like Bebop is about its past, but I think Champloo is about moving on from your past, kind of.
Oh,
Right.
That's a good way to put it.
I agree with that. I think they both have very similar feels in terms of how they're both
But that's
musically
true.
driven slice of life wandering action shows, but outside of that they're different.
Yes.
It's that they kind of take on the same like trappings and approach to telling their story, not that they're the same story at all.
Yeah, I think the problem is I think the show gets compared to Bebop a little too much, to where like it almost feels like the show can't stand on its own without being compared to Bebop. And it happens to
Right.
be where it came out years after Bebop, and it's kind of, I think it was marketed in the West as like the new Bebop or something kind of thing, but now with like hip hop flavoring,
Right.
which I think was kind of a detriment in the long run, because now people are just like, oh, a lot of people feel like Champloo is like inferior to Bebop, but I'm like one of those people that like actually likes it more than Bebop, but that's just me.
So Bebop is one of my all-time favorites. I'm genuinely unsure which one is going to be I'm going to rate higher at this point, after having just finished like Champloo yesterday.
Personally, I'm torn. I can't rate one higher than the other.
All right, I'm gonna try to explain like the concept of the show. So
Yeah.
Right.
it's about three people, Fu, Jin, and Mugen, all on a journey to the so-called samurai who smells of sunflower seeds, which is intentionally vague. And it's really more of like a journey. Like, I know this has probably been memed on hard, but it is more or less kind of a journey towards that, because they do travel around this weird Edo era of Japan that's historically inaccurate for the funsy. It's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
And they like just kind of have adventures, and they learn about each other throughout the show, and you kind of grow to love these characters by the end. The show has also like a fantastic soundtrack. I think it's legit my favorite soundtrack of anything, period. It's also like, it's got a lot of like sad moments. It's got a lot of like really like wacky, weird moments, like the zombie episode. I love the zombie episode so much.
A lot of
actually.
people don't like that episode for some
that
reason.
episode is
Like
fucking...
it makes sense for
True.
Champloo, because Champloo's never cared about continuity. Like, it's never given a shit. Like the weed episode, right? That's like at the very end of that episode. This is kind of spoilers, but like actually, I'm not going to talk about. I'm just gonna say there's an episode where they smoke a bunch of weed, and it's the funniest shit. But like like
Yeah, that was
characters will
dank
talk
as
about
shit,
things
but-
about past events that never actually happened, and it's like as if it did happen, and it's like kind of
Nah, they did actually happen. Mugen did create the infinite symbol, because Mugen means infinite.
dude, Mugen, dude. That
that's in
same
my
episode
history
has
book.
like this guy that looks like Andy Dick almost, and I'm
Yeah, I know
I'm
what you're
wondering
talking
if that is supposed to be Andy Dick, or like
I think it might be.
I think not sure, but it's
No, I thought it
hilarious.
was supposed to be like that famous artist kind of thing that helped out with all the art from the European times. I don't know. That's the thing. They get parts of history that are true and they twist it into the anime
yes.
to make it look
It's
like
such a unique aesthetic because what it's really doing is it's not that historically inaccurate. Like, it's obviously, or I should say, it's written by someone who clearly knows their history, but they're fucking with it intentionally to kind of just like blend pop culture and history and make something
it's
weird and fun.
well kind of like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, it also has the most interesting depiction of Americans that I've ever seen in anime.
Oh my god. We've been
Yeah.
such asses. The baseball episode is probably my personal
Yeah,
favorite
there's a lot
episode.
of really memorable episodes and a lot of memorable like multi-episode arcs in the show. Like
Right.
everyone remembers the baseball episode. Everybody does. Everyone
Yeah.
loves the
Yeah.
baseball episode.
I know, because it just comes a death match at that point.
But then there's also so much of it that's really good is just the tiny character interactions. Like, this has the strongest cohesion of a main cast of just about any show I've seen.
Oh, I love the main trio. Like I really do love them. Like
Oh yeah.
Like, the thing that sticks with me most about the show of all the weird things, because there's a lot that it does, like, kind of tonally and like theme wise that's really, really interesting. But the thing that sticks with me the most are just like little lines that Mugen says or things like that that just crack me up.
Hey, kiss my ass. he doesn't know the meaning of restraint. Kiss my ass. I
I
that
love
line.
Mugen.
Yeah.
yeah, I think the characters play off each other really well.
Yeah.
Like I like that. Like you know, fuck the horns. We're gonna talk about Champloo a little bit more. Fuck.
No, you.
All I want to say is I think it's
yeah, go
worth
on.
watching as an experience. I think it's probably one of the best shows of the 2000s, in my opinion.
And the beatboxing, the guy in the episode where he's just doing spoken word about how great he is, and he's got a crew behind him. Oh, that guy's such a tool. But
There's also like the beatboxing people about the mountain, like the ghost on the mountain or some shit.
Oh yeah, they're like walking down the street like, yo, it's a goat on the mountain.
It's a ghost on the mountain.
And they're just like, everyone's like, who are those guys? But they're basically warning him, saying, hey, be careful.
Oh man.
Oh god, my ears.
Imagine waking that up to that like every morning. Like that's your alarm. Like
No wonder
it's
my
gamer
boss is
time,
always-
you know? Like shit.
You want to know what
think
my
that-
real alarm is?
No.
It's even better. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what is it actually?
Yeah, what is it?
Okay, hang on. Like, well, now I gotta open it up again.
Mine's a Love Life song, so just throwing it out there. It helps me get up in the morning. So they tell me to
Best
do
part
the
of waking up.
Whoops,
This
sorry.
is definitely a good use of our time.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Okay, so I guess we should just. Okay.
What?
That's
What
certainly an alarm.
It's the Yuki 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 song.
No, that sounds horrible.
Okay, so I guess we could maybe move on. I guess we're kind of bullshitting at the moment. I guess we're moving on to 17 with Millennium Actress, his personal favorite anime. So let's
got
do
halfway
this.
through. I got halfway through this. So
God damn it. So, I fucking love this movie. It's Satoshi Kon, so the same guy who made Perfect Blue, but this time it's less,
It's less of a mindfuck and more of just a
It's-
love letter to film.
yeah. A love letter to film, a love letter to a lot of things. Like, it has a really good perspective on life that's kind of like the long through line of the film, just kind of like, without giving like too much away, a lot of it is, a lot of it's kind of like on, like about philosophy or just kind of like about the evolution of Japanese film or about, like it has a lot of really, really strong core themes that it's decided that, that it's gonna hone in on. And just about every section of the film works towards kind of like building on these themes. I don't want to spoil too much. I guess the other things to note about it are fantastic visual design, fantastic direction, of course a great
Fantastic
soundtrack.
Transitions. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. And so it'll jump between like different aesthetics of film for like different parts of the movie because it's going through the history of just like a woman's life. And she's an actress, and it kind of tells each like arc of her life in this kind of weird surrealist sense through the films she's supposed to have acted in, and it's just really good. It's just a really good movie. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has anything else they want to add, but like it's kind of hard to say much else without sort of spoiling like what a lot of the point of it is.
yeah, I know how you feel. Like there's a lot I want to say as well from what the impression I got so far with it. But I do like how, because you talked about the transitions, and the thing is, you don't even know the transition happens until like you're in the next scene, because you're like, oh, we're somewhere else, and it almost feels like a surreal kind of. I can't explain it.
You know, that's what
movies
Satoshi Kon does really well, is surreal, but like he approaches it in like a number of different ways, which is really interesting.
Dude, that guy's like really far
for
ahead
sure.
of his times. Like it's weird. Like his mind, I have no idea what's going on in his head.
And in Millennium Actress, it's really different, because like in Paranoia Agent or in Perfect Blue, like the surrealness kind of fucks with you or like adds to the mystery, whereas in this, it does leave there to be more to dissect when you go through and watch it again, but it's not.
It's a lot more
quite...
sentimental, I think. Like,
yeah, it's a lot more sentimental, and it's not surreal in a way that's like obfuscating the story. It's surreal and just kind of in a way that almost enhances it once you kind of get used to the whiplash of it.
So what you're saying is, so wait, which one do you prefer more, Millennium Actress or Perfect Blue?
Millennium Actress is his
I
favorite
prefer
anime.
Millennium Actress. They're both favorites of mine, but
Really?
I also love Paranoia Agent. Like I love all of his stuff.
Except Paprika.
Those three.
Fuck Paprika.
There's a lot that I like in Paprika, as much as I'll rag on it.
It's
but,
probably his best looking film, but like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, like it's got cool ideas. I think I mean, one could argue that it inspired what is it, Inception or some shit? Like,
yeah,
maybe.
Really?
Anyway, main point is watch Millennium Actress.
I would just say, like, watch Satoshi Kon in general. Like, honestly,
Yeah,
like
big agree.
I've said this numerous times, but I really do think if his stuff was had way more exposure, people would love the shit out of his films. Like, seriously.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to Moe's with Sora Yori. Ooh. Recent favorite. Ooh.
Further than the universe. Yes, 2018. So this anime is about 4 girls going to Antarctica, and I really mean going to, because the first half of the show is like planning for the trip or the trip itself to Antarctica. It's actually most of the show. So they do make it eventually, and really it's a show about friendship and learning about each other as people and as characters. What an amazing concept for an anime.
This is literally
4
just
girls.
K-On! Actually, like this is literally K-On!
It's K-On! With more gold.
No, in the sense that
Nice.
like a group of people like that weren't really friends before have become friends through just hanging out and doing stuff in preparation for some type of event. In this case, it's going to Antarctica. In K-On!, it's about performing at a festival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just want to point out this is also the plot of Champloo, but
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
This is the plot of like a lot of film in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah, just hanging out with your
Anyway.
friends and letting.
I mean,
things
for the
happen.
record, I was like intentionally making this sound like totally normal and generic and not assuming, because I mean,
I assume
at the
what
end
you
of-
like is the execution,
Yeah.
right?
exactly. The characters themselves are probably some of the best that I've ever seen. It has the most relatable character that I've ever seen in an anime named Hinata Miyake.
Is that the big booby girl?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Most likes the big
Of-
booby.
Of course.
See, it was funny because when the show first started and she came on screen, I'm just like, this is my favorite character. All right. But then it turns out her personality is literally me. So I'm like, okay, nice.
Dude,
It
nice.
gives me a
Yo,
lot to
someone
think about.
like I hope Shaw puts up like the hype emoji like somewhere in this. But
Oh yeah,
keep going.
she is the hype emoji.
I haven't seen the show, but I've actually like really curious to hear about it. But
No, it's really good. It's really good. Like
It's great. It's got tons of comedy, and it's really funny. All the girls have lots of chemistry together. There's so much emotions to it as well. I don't know how they managed to pull this off, but every episode it has like the emotional climax of what would be for many shows the season finale. And there's
shit, that
13 of
sounds
these
actually,
fucking
like,
episodes.
that sounds kind of intimidating, almost like.
It really is kind of a gauntlet. I don't know. Some people have some kind of mixed reactions about that, but I think it's earned every single time. Like it just makes such great use of its time, where you kind of watch it and you get all the lighthearted moments, but then you also get the emotional build up and then the payoff all in one.
Yeah,
all
like
in one
at some
time.
points it feels heavy, and you're like, "Oh, dude, I wasn't ready for this." Like, "Oh, I didn't think it would go this direction."
Yeah,
I
but
think
it
for
works.
me, dude, for me, like, for me about the show, like one thing, like it's inspiring, but it's not like I'm inspired to go to Antarctica.
You're inspired
sure.
to just do whatever you want. It's like Hajime no
Yeah.
Ippo. Like, it doesn't necessarily inspire you to box, but do your best essentially.
Yeah, you see something in it. You're like, you see some, like, for some reason, seeing other characters like go forward and try to achieve like their goals kind of makes you want to do the same thing as well, and that's what I got from this show, especially with something as crazy as going to Antarctica, because right away you have the voice of reason from one character saying, "Dude, you know how tough it is over there? You know how much money it is? Do you even know like what you're gonna do or why you're doing this?" And then that's what causes a lot of the characters to sort of disagree with each other at some point. Some of them doubt it. They're like, "No, there's no way we could do this," And that's one thing I like is when characters and friends together struggle together. Everyone thinks it's always good times. And yeah, we'll fight now and then, but when they're suffering together, like at one part when they're traveling, they're all just feeling terrible, and they're not even interacting with each other. They're just all in this together, and it sucks. But
Yeah.
they don't go on blaming each other, saying, "Hey, it's all your fault that I'm like this." It's just like, "Oh, well, let's get through this, guys. We're in it together. Just good luck." And it's fun to watch. Like, it was fun watching them suffer at one point, as odd as that sounds. But
The fuck,
no.
Bacon? You're sick.
I'm sorry. Yeah, oh, God, you're way over time. Yeah.
Wait, no, that was good.
I was done
I've been
anyway.
here. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard the nut about this show for months, for like an entire year now.
You
right?
could hear nut. Oh God.
Okay,
how does that-
you know what I.
I know.
So, hearing the nuts.
You're
But, no, this seems like a show that would be right up my alley. So I'm always interested in hearing about Sora Yori.
nice.
Yeah. All right, we can move on to Bacon with Kill La Kill.
Yes, Kill La Kill is my jam. I love it so much. Not because there's nudity. I mean, the show's not about nudity. Or
I
clothing.
totally assumed it was because boobies. Like, honestly.
No, dude. What am I, some degenerate? No.
Yes.
Man.
It's about the eyebrows.
It's the eyebrows.
It's about what the nudity represents, man.
It's all about eyebrows and not trying to lose your way. All right, that's what it's about. No, Kill La Kill to me. So, yeah, I've seen like most of the trigger shows like Gurren Lagann and like Inferno Cop, whatever. But when I watched Kill La Kill, I was just so blown away about how epic everything was right from the beginning, because it's a show that's really having fun with just the normal everyday concepts that you see in other
high school
battle-
anime. It like
high
takes it
school-
to like it's like high school anime taken to like 21 as opposed to 10.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love most about it. Like, because there's always jokes on the internet about, student council president, she's got all the power. No, let's actually give the student council president so much power above everywhere else.
She
that
literally
she's able-
towers
No,
over
let's
everyone.
compare the
It's
student
great.
council president to a literal dictator, have her rule over a city surrounding a
Exactly.
school.
I
and-
know. It's and like yeah,
Like-
have the power to mobilize student troops to take other over schools. Like, what is this? Because yeah, it is a superpower type show as well. Because you have these uniforms and you got these fibers that power up the uniforms, and it gives them the power to fight each other or use their school activities as ways of weaponry. You got a girl that could play tennis and throw tennis balls and serve that shit like 100 miles per hour and stuff like that. And then you got all the other committees, just like, it's everything you want in an action type show, all up to 100. You have the Elite Four, which is the top 4 strongest, and then you have the rebels who will find a way to fight back, and they do find a way to fight back. And the show itself is just, again, 100% so much fun. Like, I love it to no end. The soundtrack is epic. The twists and turns in the story are okay. Like, there's some parts I'm just like, well, that's kind of weird. And boom, we end up in
Are you
space.
talking about
As
the
it-
scene with not Ryoko, but Satsuki's mom?
Oh, okay, that right there. Okay, so I'll spoil this for those out there. There's a
Bacon,
scene
did you
in
enjoy
there.
it the same way you enjoyed Citrus?
Stop it! No, I did not enjoy Citrus. That was me.
Yes, you
being-
did. I have the
No,
screenshots to prove
No,
it.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, well, okay, so it was funny though, because I was watching that, and So one of the characters in Kill la Kill, Satsuki, the dictator of the school, the so-called enemy of the main character who they're rivals with, she takes a bath, right? And everyone loves bath scenes. I like my bath scenes as well. But then all of a sudden, Satsuki's mom comes in and starts bathing her a little too vigorously at some points.
She's just showing that motherly love.
Showing that motherly love, because every person here remembers
every mom's like that, right?
Yeah, every mom helps their sons and daughters shower. I don't know how it works in Japan. But the thing that's wild about this show is that it just takes everything to the next level in terms of like so-called the fighting, the concepts. Even at one point, they became self-aware. The main bad guy's like, "Oh my god, I don't get your ideals. They don't make sense." And then the main character's like, "You know what? None of this makes sense." And I'm like, wait, they just straight out said that the show doesn't make sense. And yet you could really tell that the people that were in on this project are really having a lot of fun. And that's one thing I love most about the show, is that it's really fun with nudity and just it's super epic. And I want to give a shout out to the dub, because the dub's really good.
Benjamin Diskin as the
as
Zenny.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yes, dude.
Yo, he says like pin slap a hoe at one point, dude. It's really
Okay,
we're
so I only started the dub
mobilizing-
and I haven't been able to get into it, so would you recommend it? Because, like, I started and it was just kind of, like, I guess a little bit disappointed in Satsuki's voice, but, like...
Right.
No, I
it's
would
also 'cause
recommend
I'm really
it. It's
used
good.
to the...
I recommend it. You gotta watch the dub when they get to the 3 schools that they're trying to conquer, because the guy that's
You gotta
the
get to
money
Zenny.
dude,
Oh my gosh, Zenny.
Zenny.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen that clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
But no,
troops are
Kill la Kill is a
fast.
good show. Like, for all of its ridiculous over the top, like,
There is
sort of
substance to it,
insanity that
right?
makes you think it's gonna be... I don't know, I feel like Kill la Kill almost intentionally tries to make you think it's trash tier sometimes.
Yo, it's just like Gurren
Like,
Lagann, actually,
the way-
in a lot of ways.
the way-
Yeah,
the
but
way
it's
I would
really just
describe-
not. Like, it's well directed, it's well written, like, as stupid as it is and looks, it's not stupid. Like,
Right.
I
There
would
are
describe-
some parts that are meh, but it's like I give those a pass. All the small parts, I'm just like, wait, what happened to that one bullet? And it's like, yeah,
It's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann, their stories are, I could say that they are the worst ideas ever, but then the entire show is about making the writers making you believe that it's the
It goes
greatest
all the
idea
way
ever.
with its concept. Like, it doesn't ever half-ass it. It goes
yeah,
all the way.
it's just like, let's pick the most zany concept we can and then try and execute this to fucking perfection.
So
And
clothes gives you power.
like, damn, okay.
Oh my
yeah,
god.
clothes does, like, image does give you power, right? Like, that's
Yeah,
like,
so
that's
and that's them tricking us into thinking that, oh my god, this is actually really good writing. Like it's a big thing on like the world making
And
fun
they
of our
do manage
image.
to work in a lot of symbolism and, like, I guess, like, actual thought into the story they're
Right.
telling, even though
Like,
it really doesn't
like be
initially
proud
seem like
of
that's what they're doing.
be
Like,
proud of the skin you're in, and like all that stuff, or be proud of what you're wearing, even though you're naked.
Be
and
proud
stuff
of who
like
you are and who you and what you
believe
represent.
in yourself. If I don't believe, I don't know how that goes. Yeah. I'm done fangirling. I need a rest now.
All right. Oh, we've got the Podfathers pick, which is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Hey,
Ooh. I like this show. This used to be my favorite anime of all time.
This was my
used to
first
be.
anime and was my favorite for quite some time.
Same.
I
All
gave
right.
an
How
arm
do
and a-
we,
I gave an arm and a
honestly,
leg for
what
this
do we
show.
have to say about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood that hasn't been said a million times yet?
Like, it's just a good show.
It's a
Well
it's a show that
executed,
does
like
like a lot of things pretty decently, and I think that's why a lot of people really like it, because it's got decent romance, it's got decent drama, the history is cool, world building is great.
The world building is actually really solid.
Yeah.
I just rewatched recently, and, like, I was not aware of just kind of how much detail went into that universe and stuff like that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it
it's
makes a lot of
well-built
callbacks to
world.
like actual like Eastern Asian like philosophies and religions. It's very interesting. I took an Eastern Asian religion class a
Whoa.
couple years ago
Oddly
in
specific.
community college, and I learned about a lot of things with like I don't even remember what the words were, but I was like, holy shit, this is like a lot of like, I was like, oh shit, this is all referenced in like Fullmetal Alchemist. Like,
Did you say that out loud?
no, I did actually. Well, the teacher did know about Fullmetal Alchemist. He was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But like the symbol on Ed's jacket comes from an Indian religion. I think it comes from Hinduism. I want to say it does. I don't
Really?
quote me on that, but it has to do with chakra, if I remember correctly. Like It's pretty interesting.
What's this, Naruto?
It's been a while since I
What
took it,
is
so I might be like talking out of my ass. But like,
Yeah.
what's the Eastern equivalent in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood of like alchemy? Like,
Alchemy?
yeah, alchemy is based on
yeah,
a
yeah.
real like on a legit concept from Asia, which is pretty cool too. But yeah, this show does like a lot of things really well. It's got great action. It's got like great character. It's got like lovable characters. It's got a concept that is like really easy to follow, really easy to get behind. And I think that's why a lot of people really like the show, because it's long, but it always feels like there's something going on in the show. There's like this long winding narrative that's really fun to binge for me personally.
It's also like one of the most loved shows of all time. Like it's one of those shows where you can watch it and you're almost guaranteed to like it, and there's a decent chance it'll be one of your favorites.
Yeah,
'cause
like people in
just
the West
strikes a chord
fucking
with a
love
lot
FMA,
of people.
like because
Like,
it's like
yeah.
it's like pseudo Europe basically. Part of it takes, I think it's like post World War One, I think at least.
Yeah,
FMA 03
that's-
definitely takes place during almost before World War Two, right? Because like,
right.
It feels like it, yeah.
but yeah.
But also, it's not set in our world.
Yeah, it's
Like,
set in like like I said, like a pseudo Europe, like definitely
Yeah.
white Europe place that also has like very close to its own like the equivalent of Eastern Asia, which is kind of interesting, and then like has like the middle, almost not a Middle East, but like kind of its own thing because it has Ishval, right, which is its own thing.
Yeah.
It's all the history of the show is like based on a lot of real stuff, but it's like kind of done, it's made vague intentionally, but like it's all very interesting. There's things that allude to the atomic bomb, which you'll find out later on.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, but I don't know how to like really what else to say. Like it's just a good show. Like you're gonna probably like it. It's probably one of the better shonen in general. But the thing is, a lot of people don't even consider it like the same like branch as like Naruto or something, because it's much more of a drama in a lot of ways. But
Right.
and I can kind of see where they're coming from. I still consider it kind of a shonen for a couple of reasons, but yeah.
Like my only thing to pick against it is, I guess, is the ending, but I don't want to say too much.
I
just
actually
because...
like the ending, and I think it's like a interesting spin on like typical shonen stuff, actually, or not a spin,
Right,
but
right.
like I thought was a good justification of that type of thing. I think.
Right.
I don't want to spoil it too much, but
Yeah, I know. I don't want to spoil it either, but I'll tell you guys.
I mean, I think maybe people didn't like the ending because it was like kind of built itself up maybe as like this really big epic story.
Well, all I could say is that, I thought if I could give a little bit of like, I thought the rule of the show was you can't get something unless you give something in return, and that's at one point in the show I was just like, oh man, there's so much that was sacrificed, and then something else happens, and I'm like, oh, everything's good, huh? I guess we're not going by that rule anymore. It's.
We should have an FMA pod at some point. Actually, that would
I
be...
thought we were gonna have FMA.
Well, it's been in like the quote unquote works for like years.
Free pod when.
Oh my gosh, that's actually something I do want to do. But
Satoshi Kon pod when?
Satoshi Kon pod when?
When are we doing that? When are we doing the Satoshi Kon pod? Maybe
No, but
eventually.
it's a great
years,
show.
I'm afraid.
I can't. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say other than I'm surprised that if you
watch
haven't
it.
watched it already,
Yeah.
go watch
Just watch it.
Yeah.
All right, next.
All right,
All
so
right,
I guess it's back to me now with my favorite anime of all time, Ping Pong the animation. What can I even say about this show?
Oh yeah!
Yeah! So this show is 11 episodes and does, I think, way more than most shows can do in like 2 course. It's a character drama set in like high school ping pong club, but I still consider it a sports show, but rather like actually goes like further than most sports anime and is kind of more about like the lives of athletes and what it like the psychology of athletes a lot of the time. I would still consider it a sports show because of that, but this show like kind of juggles like multiple main characters. Like there is like a central main characters like Peko and Smile, but it also talks about a lot of other characters and gives them like great character arcs in the span of like 11 episodes. It's actually pretty impressive how it juggles all of these characters really, really effectively. The show is kind of asks the question, why do we play ping pong? And you can just scratch ping pong and say, why do we do what we like to do, right? Like, you know.
Right.
And I think that's a great question that a lot of people, especially athletes, could probably identify with a lot, right? Or if you just do anything as like a hobby, right? The show has fantastic voice acting. The show has fantastic visuals, in my opinion. The show has a fantastic soundtrack, and I think the ending is really great, actually. It adapts the entire manga, and even adds a couple things, too, that I thought were fantastic additions.
Dude, Conwenge, best character in the entire series, in my opinion.
I get that.
That's
I'm
true.
more of like a Smile guy, in my opinion. Smile's always been my boy.
Yeah.
But I can't think of like a single bad character in the show. Like, I love every character. Like, I love the coach. I love Coach Joe, Butterfly Joe. Oh, he's with his English. Oh, it's adorable.
Mista, whatever.
Mista.
It's just,
yeah. Burger. Oh.
God. Yeah, the show itself, like, the thing with ping pong that I really liked is it sprinkled in enough of the, like, the epic sports style
anime. Oh, I forgot to say,
there.
the ping pong, like, the actual ping pong matches are really fantastic. The way they do the paneling, it's so really good.
Like, it's not like they just focus on the characters and like the building of everyone and not do any ping pong at all. Like, they did a really good balance.
I think there's just enough. I think.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need like ping pong all the time in the show just to like keep me satisfied. Like, I think there was a perfect amount of ping pong in the show.
Right. And that's what I always think again with like real life. These guys aren't just athletes 24/7. They got their own
They're
lives,
also
and they have their
people.
own...
Like, it's part of like ping pong for a lot of people is like part of their life. Like Dragon, like that is his life, you know. And it's all about how this sport affects everyone and their psychology and everything, which I find like super fascinating.
Especially what happened with Smile's friend,
Peko.
Like, well, like. Peko.
Peko,
like,
everyone's arcs is very different, and they all come to different conclusions, and all their conclusions are based on different experiences. Like, some people are really talented, but like don't really want to put in like the hard work. But some people put in like a lot of hard work, but they're just not that good. And like them realizing that they're just not that good, no matter how hard they work, is like really like relatable in a lot of ways.
That's why I love what Peko says to that one guy. He's like, man, I've been playing for 5 years. It's like, man, you're 20 years behind me, man. I was just
like, yeah, you still suck, dude.
Yeah, like that's one of the harsh realities that I feel like a lot of athletes face, because it always goes back to the whole, I love like studying the whole talent versus hard work kind of deal. And in this show, it touches upon it quite a bit. At the same time, it touches upon, you could be like raw talent plus hard work, but then there'll always be that one guy that's just like
sometimes you just don't make it. Like,
sometimes you don't make it, and the percentage of how many people actually get into the pro leagues or the Olympics is like really small. So you have to understand how big the world is, you know. And just because, and they all that to me is what I got from just ping pong, you know. That's it. Imagine what everything else is in, like, you know, all the other sports in the world.
Oh yeah. I think any athlete could relate to this show hard, like, for sure. I'm not really sure what else to say other than I think it's a goddamn masterpiece.
Okay, I'll bring that for you. But I just love Conwenge's scene when he's, you know, kicking it with like the karaoke and stuff like that.
Oh my god, the
that
Christmas scene is so fantastic. It actually, dude, like, yeah, I really like the song itself from that scene is a real song, and I think it's called like Midnight Flight or something. I don't know what else. I don't actually know what it's called, but I can link it to you later. It's really good.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
I just really love that show, man. I can't recommend it. I should say, the art style is a little bit different than your typical anime, right?
Yeah.
It's directed by
Masaki
Uesugi, so it's going to look a little bit different. But like, I do think it looks great. If you can get past the art style, I think it's a fantastic show that everyone should watch. Personally.
Well, some people are turned off by the art style, but I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's good.
I like it.
Give it a pass.
I guess we should move on, since we're a little over time, to 17's Baccano recommendation. Let's get it. Let's get this bread.
Yeah. So, this is another one of my all-time favorites. Baccano is pure fun, is kind of how I'd describe this show. It is an action show, an action character drama of sorts set in an alternate, like, a sort of Prohibition era America with gangsters who are immortal or who can sort of avoid death. You're not really sure quite what's going on at the beginning of the show, and kind of this weird supernatural thread running to it. The soundtrack is fantastic. It's jazz and it's just high energy and generally fun. The way the story is told is fun. It kind of keeps cutting back and forth between these
it's based on a light novel, right? So they had to do it a little bit differently.
Yeah, basically what it was is that, which I think is one of the cleverest things ever. So normally, like, light novel adaptations, or oftentimes they'll be, like, kind of weirdly paced just because of how a light novel will oftentimes not fit neatly into a show of, like, 1 or 2 core or something like that. And so what Baccano does to mitigate this is it takes the first couple of light novels and instead of telling them straightforwardly, just cuts them together so that the climaxes are happening at the same time, and somehow that works really, really well.
Did the same thing with Haruhi, I think.
I guess something similar to that. But yeah, anyway, the point is it fixes the pacing and makes it simultaneously adds another sort of layer of mystery into discovering what's going on in the show's world, while also just making the show feel just really kind of nicely paced and fun to flow through. Like, there's not a ton I can say about the show without spoilers, other than it's just really, really fun and well directed and organized, I guess.
Dude, the way the story is told in Baccano,
I think it's the strongest part of the show, actually. It's a structure.
Yeah, the structure.
The structure serves it just so well, in my opinion, because it does just consistently feel like fast paced and has this really natural heightening of tension throughout the entire story that you don't often see from adaptations. Like, every episode is a joy to watch and will make you want to watch the next, I feel like.
And of course, part of the joy is the characters. Like, that's a big part.
Baccano has a fantastic cast of over-the-top characters. If you're in for something a little bit more kind of like sober and realistic, you're not going to get that from Baccano. It is entirely just over-the-top, overblown everything, and it works for the show that it is and the story it's telling.
Yeah, the characters are great. It's just that there's some names. That one name.
Jacuzzi. I love Jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi Splot. I'm like, what? Well, what's
but
his name?
Also, that's a testament to the strength of the show's cast, because I think most people go into the show and see Jacuzzi and see how he's acting and are like, oh my god, this is the character in this show that I'm going to hate. Me personally, and most people I talk to, Jacuzzi ends up being one of their favorite characters by the end of the show. The show has a consistently strong cast.
Yeah.
Of course, there's also Isaac Jacuzzi and Miria, because they're
my
like the
favorite shit in anime.
Miria.
So
like, you can't hate them. Look at them. Like, they're just living their life. They're just doing what
so
they do
I actually showed. This is a slight diversion, but I showed Baccano to my grandfather, who watched it, and he's a literature professor, and came away with the interpretation that Isaac and Miria were supposed to be these sort of like Shakespearean jesters almost in terms of their service to the plot, which I thought was really interesting.
Interesting.
Now that you mention that, I'd never thought about it like that. But yeah, they were always like the kind of the jesters of the group, of the cast.
Yeah, but they also do a lot of like kind of driving of the plot in their own weird way.
Yeah.
And have I can't remember what his full argument was to it, because it was not just that they were the jesters, but that they had this specific service to the plot that is similar to how Shakespeare would often employ comedy characters, which I thought was really, really interesting.
Oh yeah, he does that a lot in his comedies. It's actually like kind of great. Like a lot of the comedic characters in, like, say, Much Ado About Nothing, like, drive a lot of the plot.
Yeah, and so Isaac and Miria sort of do that for Baccano. I don't know. But overall, it's going to be a show with characters that you're going to latch onto and enjoy. Some of the better characters are their identities or even spoilers, but
Wait, can we talk about Lad?
Or one in particular. Yeah.
Okay, Lad.
Or no, I'm not talking about Lad.
Lad is like,
I'm talking about
like this weird Isaiah-like character who just kills people, and it's great. He just takes so much joy in it.
Is it weird that I like that guy the most?
Yeah, dude, what's wrong with you?
Russo, I'm just like, yeah. When he does that, when he starts boxing those guys inside the train, and he starts naming.
Oh, I love that it takes place on the flying pussyfoot. Like,
yeah, the train name is something.
Flying pussyfoots.
But yeah. Oh, also, other thing that we should note is the dub is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I watched.
It's
I
one
watched
of those
the dub
things
first,
where a lot of people would recommend even the dub over the sub. I probably would too.
I think it's like a consensus. Like the dub is better than the sub.
I've heard some people have the alternate argument, but yeah, I really like the dub.
I mean, if you're gonna watch something set in America, you might as well watch it in English, right?
Yeah, this is one of the better dubs in anime. All right.
Thanks, Bacon.
You're welcome. You asked for this.
We're trying to nut on Baccano. We're trying to nut on the flying pussyfoot over here. Come on.
Oh God, really?
Yes. All right. Since I guess the buzzer went off, we can move on to this this other show, Moses' Big Order recommendation. I'm sorry.
Tell me
I'm waiting to
show.
hear this.
Well, Big Order is not just an anime. It is a gift to humanity
From
I don't know if
Haruhi
it's
herself.
God specifically or
Okay.
a messenger from God, but it is some sort of celestial deity because no mortal being can make something that is as great as Big Order. It's just everything about it. There's nothing on this earth that can even compare to it. The story is so amazing, so jaw-droppingly epic that people like Mark Train would just they wouldn't even be writing if they were around to see the story of this, because they would just be completely out of business. They would have no place whatsoever.
What?
I don't even know why people make stories when Big Order exists. It is the ultimate story. It is the ultimate thing. It's just, it's everything. It's the greatest
Okay,
thing.
no, what is the show about? I'm not getting anything from this.
It doesn't
sound like
fucking
you-
matter, Bacon. It's the greatest thing of all time.
You're like me when I talk about Goop, okay? Just like, what's the premise? Come on, help me out here.
The
Well,
premise.
I mean, how do you explain Big Order? You just kind of have to watch it to experience
Oh, it's
it.
one of those shows you just gotta watch.
No,
it.
seriously, it's
Just like Shinsekai Yori, just like all the Satoshi
yes,
things,
Big
you
Order
just
is
gotta-
just like Shinsekai Yori in a number
I don't
of
know.
ways.
You guys said the same thing. You guys are like, I don't want to say much. You just gotta
You know, when
watch
I
it.
saw this on the list, I was just like, okay, what the fuck is he gonna say about this show?
That just makes it even more curious.
Like, okay, so like think of like, it's not the exact same show, but like think of Mirai Nikki a little bit, right?
okay,
So like Mirai Nikki is like kind of schlocky, super duper schlocky, actually.
gross.
Just think of like stupid concept, but with even like more absurd execution, but like not necessarily in the best way, personally. The soundtrack is really good though. It's like this weird jazzy soundtrack that like does, like at first thought like, oh, this doesn't really work, but then you're just like, oh shit, this is actually kind of lit, fam. But I have not much.
Wait,
to
what the
say.
fuck? This is my recommendation. Hey, no. Hey, Big Order is about a guy who tells people to do stuff and they listen to him. Or actually, they don't.
Dude, is this just Code Geass? Is this Big Order just Code Geass?
Big Order is literally the
We've come
Code
full
Geass
circle,
of
guys. Back it
anime.
up.
It's literally the Code Geass. Oh.
What is this? I'm so confused. Where's my buzzer?
Yo,
You're done here.
sell us on it, Mose. I actually want to hear like a good
Yeah,
selling of
you
it.
have, you have one more chance to sell this on me because I'm like 50-50 right now.
Okay.
Oh god.
Big Order is a really good anime.
All right, yeah, I've heard enough. I've
You
heard
lost
enough.
me already.
You lost me, man. That and 100 other anime series I've heard.
That's like Bacon trying to talk about Goop. It's really good, guys.
It's really good, guys. Trust me. You just gotta watch it. At least I gave you the premise. Girls driving tanks. Big Order. What's it about? This guy's big. He gives orders.
Basically Code Geass.
Oh my god.
No, I don't want to. I'm trying not to shit on Moses' favorites, but like it's kind of a meme show. Like I don't want to say it's like a turn your brain off show, but like it's It's like stupid in a lot of ways, honestly. I'm gonna be real.
No, no. You think it's stupid because the show is it's so intellectually great that you feel stupid
Someone
when you watch
insert
it.
like 200 IQ emoji here.
Actually,
Yo, it's
really
like
high IQ.
Yo, Moses like that white kid in the Polar Express movie with the glasses.
Okay, I have a legitimate question about that meme.
Okay,
Is
go
the
on.
meme that like the kid is reacting to a thing that's being said, or is he saying the actual?
He's kind
He's
of
saying-
he's a know-it-all. Like he's the one saying it, kind of.
He's the one
Okay.
saying it.
He's
so
kind
like,
of
oh, hey,
like I've
because
always
I've seen
associated him as like a try-hard nerd. A lot of the time.
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I just interpreted it as both ways, and that's why it's so funny to me.
Well, because, like, it's, you'd be talking about consoles, and he'd be the guy that turns around that says, PC is better.
You know,
It's like, dude,
PC's actually like cheaper to build.
cheaper to build, and, you get more price per dollar. ratio.
He's
Just
also
make
wearing
sure-
like an Ahagao like sweatshirt because of course he is. He's got to be
Yeah.
really cool and dank.
I know. He speaks only in memes, and everyone just face
Be like,
palms
you guys want to
around
hear
him.
Sicko Mode or Mo Bamba or something?
Oh, God.
Yo,
God, that meme is so old. It's like, shut up. No one cares about you.
I'm
Yeah.
glad the Polar Express has become a meme. I'm really glad that it's become a meme because that
yeah.
movie sucks. Yo, have you guys seen the video of like the scene where the
No.
train, the Polar Express is on the ice and like it's set to the Tokyo Drift music? Like,
Oh, no.
dude, it's
I
lit
haven't.
actually.
Okay, you gotta.
I gotta link
That sounds
this. I
fantastic.
gotta find it.
Link that.
Anyway, let's move on to what's the next show. We
God.
have
Oh man. Okay.
we have
here
Bacon
go.
with School Days. Oh God, no.
All right, gentlemen, hear me out. All you youngins out there that are saying, "Oh, these shows are so edgy, they're so crazy." Look,
I want a
back in
harem
my-
where the guy gets all the girls.
Yes, exactly. Now, back in my day, a rite of passage before even becoming an anime fan is that you gotta watch School Days. Now, the thing with School Days, it's disguised as like even the opening, if you watch it, School Days, even the title sounds innocent. It's just an innocent story about these people in high school, and it's a dude going to high school with these couple other girls, and he's just living his life. Is he in a relationship? Not yet. Does he want to be in a relationship? Sure. So he ends up trying to go after this one girl, and the girl, she's got, she's well endowed, nice long sleek hair. In your mind, you're like, yeah, they grow great together. And then this guy's got a best friend who happens to be a girl, and she asks her, hey, yo, can you help me out? Like kind of like, get things going, help me out date. And but by all means, it's a great thing to do, to ask for advice from your friends, and maybe one of your friends is a girl when it comes to relationships. We've all done that, hopefully. But so that's all it is. The guy's just trying to get a girlfriend, and there's some times where like the main girl that he's going after doesn't want to return his feelings. Okay, I'm kind of spoiling a good amount of it because how many of you are actually going to pick up School Days is beyond me. So, and this show is old. This is like, I think, early 2000s.
This is 2007, actually.
Oh, that's still long ago. That's
It
a
looks
decade.
like it's
More than
older
a
than
decade.
decade old,
2007
yeah.
too.
Yeah. And so then, what happens is that the main character and the main girl that he's going after, they start dating, but the thing is, it's not going too well. And on the other side, the best friend girl, the friend zone girl, starts saying like, "Are you really trying to go after her? Because to be honest, I kind of have a thing with you going on." So it becomes you guessed it, love triangle, and we all love triangles here. And so what happens though, it starts to get a little too real. Like the guy starts seeing his friend, that's a girl, a little more, the best friend, and then starts like the other girl still kind of likes being in a relationship with him, and then they start, things start getting a little too real. He starts, getting a little lewd with one of them, getting lewd with the other girl, and she's like, no, don't worry about it. It's just practice. We're just practicing how to, make love, and then it spirals and understandable, who hasn't done that? And so the thing is, like, this turns into probably like what everyone would expect would happen if you try to build your own harem. And the ending of School Days is till this day historic. I have not heard anyone in the subreddit do a nice boat meme in years, and I'm just like, what happened?
Bro, I
Did
see
they
it all the
actually die?
time, bro.
No,
Like,
I don't.
That's the most
No, you don't.
meme thing of all time. Like, that's the
haven't
biggest
seen
anime
it.
meme. Is nice boat. When people talk about
I
like,
don't see it
when
anymore.
okay, so I'm a mod, right? I see
Okay.
I see like
Well, it's because you're a mod.
yeah, well, no shit. Whatever. Whenever
Okay.
I see like, oh, what's your favorite ending in anime? And it's just like some people are just like, haha, I'm gonna put nice boat in the comments because that's super original. And then
But
I see
dude,
nice boat, and it's like, okay, you're really funny, dude.
You're
So is that how you see me?
Yes.
No. all I'm saying is, guys, if you haven't seen School Days, you gotta watch it because the ending is legendary. And I would argue the music to that ending is great. I really like the song at the end, and it gets very messed up and crazy. And I'm just like, what? You think all those other shows that end in tragedy are bad? You gotta check out this show because it comes at you fast. You know, I have a weird obsession with School Days. It muffed me up when I first watched it, and I think everyone else has the right to feel the same way I do when I first watched it.
I mean, it's also like low-key one of the most spoiled anime ever. So like, I
yeah.
feel sad
Yeah.
for the people who like are most people that are probably watching School Days at this point are watching it because it's kind of a meme at this point. Like,
Yeah, like, oh, now I have to see why everyone's raving.
I kind of
about
wish it
It's
was
like-
like the ending was like kind of like kept under, not rugs, but like kept quiet a
Wraps.
little bit because that's an
Yeah.
experience on its own, right?
It was an experience also, like, because I went in completely blind to thinking that this was a happy show. All right,
Spoiler.
that's all I have to say, and I'm done with the button. Like, yeah, it's.
Yo,
over.
push it, fam. You can't just.
I gotta unlock my phone.
You can't just give up.
So,
Where's
yeah,
your
School
willpower?
Days? That's all.
Jesus Christ.
LOL.
Are you happy? Are you not entertained?
Oh, well, I guess we've got one more show. It's a good show. It's one of the Podfathers picks. It's Aria. Woo! Woo! Well, Bacon and I are the ones who've seen
anime
the show,
podcast.
So. The
sorry.
Dude. So how do I
Boats.
explain Aria? Like,
Nice boat.
dude, it literally is nice.
You're welcome. Thank
God
you, and
damn
good
it,
night.
Bacon. That worked out really nicely. But Aria is how the kids say in Iyashike, right? Where it's kind of more about healing and kind of feeling comfy, if you will. I'm probably underselling this show, but Aria is about Akari. I mean, it's going to be about it's going to be about more characters later on, but like it starts out with like Akari kind of starting her job as an Undine, right? And it's
And what do Undines do?
well, Undines are it's basically like a boat tour guide.
They
in
chase
like,
you around with spears.
Yes.
What?
Oh no. But like so the setting is like this like it's called Neo Venezia and it's based on the city of Venice, right? Which is the city basically slowly succumbing to water. It's set on Mars and it's kind of neat. It's basically like her job is to, give tours of Neo Venezia in a cool like gondola instead of
Right.
a boat. That sounds really boring, but like they go on like little adventures every day or every episode, right? Every episode is about some small thing. That's kind of the point of the show, actually. Is
Right.
like
something you don't think about too often. You're like, oh, that's a nice way, or that's a nice small little detail or lesson that you could take away from this small
or a cool
journey that
piece
they
of
went
like
on.
world building or something, right?
Yeah, that too.
That's kind of the point of the show is like to appreciate the small things because once you get by the end of the 3 seasons, which is about 50 episodes, you're like, oh fuck, I don't want this to end at all. I want to do this. Like,
Oh man,
I want to watch
Don't
this
sit
forever, like kind of thing. And the ending itself, the final season is very emotional for me at least. Most people that have watched it felt some type of emotion.
there. Oh goodness, yeah. I would argue this show is really therapeutic too.
Yeah, it is. It's very soothing. The music is fantastic. It never like it's a good like I don't want to like say it's like it's a show that'll make you fall asleep, but I would recommend watching it like maybe like a half hour before you go to bed or something. Like it'll put you in a good mood, right? It'll ease your
That's
mind.
what I did. Yeah.
That kind of thing. I like all the characters. The character interactions are great. All the reaction faces are like hilarious. I like the faces, TBH, but I don't know what else to say other than I think it's just kind of like either you like the show or you don't. Like if you like kind of more laid back slice of life
I think a lot of
shows-
people would say like, oh, the show's boring, nothing happens, but
I think a lot of things happen in the show. They're all very small things, but they amount to something big at the end, which is kind of genius.
I watch it
actually.
mainly for the characters, because the characters to me, like, not only I love the character designs of all of them, but for some reason, like, it's just fun watching. It's
just fun watching them interact and do stuff every day.
Yeah, again, like, it's the whole it's cute girls doing cute things, and
one could argue it's like a form of escapism or something. I don't like to use that word too much because I feel like it has a negative connotation, but it could be interpreted as some form of escapism. And a lot of anime is kind of art in general is kind of some form of escapism, whether you like to admit it or not, right? But
yeah, I agree.
It's kind of fun. I don't know, like not fun isn't as exciting, but like it's very enjoyable. And if this is your thing, I'm surprised you haven't seen it already, because it's kind of like considered like the grandmother of not the grandmother, but like the queen of like slice of life.
Slice of life anime,
yeah. But yeah, I would recommend it if you're in it for like a nice, easygoing experience.
Oh gosh, the ending though. God.
Like the thing is, the ending is like it like legitimately made me cry. Like I don't usually cry watching anime, but like that show made me cry. Like I didn't realize how much I really liked.
What are you, a baby?
I didn't realize how much I liked all like the setting, the world, the characters, the experience until like it was, taken from me, right? Like I was just kind of like, oh, you don't. That's the whole point of the show is you don't realize what you have until it's gone. That's the show in a nutshell. I don't think that's a spoiler, but like it's something you kind of experience through 50 episodes through this slow.
That's what I felt too. Like when everything started, you start seeing things starting to change, and you're like, oh.
I will admit the animation isn't the best season. Like it progressively gets better every season. I think. I think
you hear that, Boz? It gets better.
No, I think. Well, when I mean by it gets better, is like you get not just attached, but like more used to everything and how the show presents itself, right? Because like when you watch the first episode, you're just like, wow, this is kind of boring, right? Because everyone's used to more like high tempo shows, but like Aria is way more kind of soothing. It's relaxing.
I'm gonna be the best Undyne in the world.
Yeah, it's not that these characters don't even have goals. They do have goals, right? Like they do have aspirations and lives of their own, right? But it's like it's all about like the little things. That's all I'm gonna say. Just appreciate what you have. Appreciate the small things because they're not gonna be like that forever, right?
Just like how this podcast isn't gonna run forever.
Thank you, everybody. For like 2 fucking hours, but like, ugh.
I know.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about Aria. It's one of my favorite anime. Oh, okay. I guess we're done. Is that it?
I think
is that over?
I think we're pretty much done. That's the shows.
Any other shows we're recommending? We're done. No,
I recommend the Aria Anime podcast. Can we recommend the podcast that we're on?
I recommend checking out all of our other episodes.
I recommend checking out the hentai episodes in particular. Those are works of art, especially the third one. That is a work of art.
Oh, I know. It's so good. It's so good.
So yeah, I hope everyone like at least took something to watch out of all of these shows, right? Like I realize there's a whole other part to this with Shaw's group. So,
Yeah, so this is going to be like cuz we're over 2 hours.
That's going to be a big boy, dude. It's going
to be a chungus.
It's big boy season. But yeah, I hope everyone that listened to this got some type of new show to check out. Possibly like a new possible favorite. That's kind of the point of this, right?
I watched the Tokyo Drift thing. You're so stupid.
It's really funny.
Dude, I love that tune.
There's a part where the conductor actually dabs at one point. Like,
stop, guys.
Dude,
stop.
I'm not even joking. It's like 20 seconds
ahead
in.
of its time.
Mm-hmm. What's up? All right.
I'm pretty much good from here.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a good day.
Thank you.
Love yourself. Watch anime. Love the anime that you watch. But
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Happy New Year, dude.
I don't even know when the fuck this is gonna come out, but yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Somewhere close to the New Year. Like, this will probably be.
This will be sometime in January.
Crank it out.
Yeah. But yeah. See you guys.
I'm really tired.